Chapter 161, Recognized Road. In the treasure land called Infinite Space, Luo Feng streaked through the void like a bolt of light, traveling at a speed hundreds of times faster than when he first arrived, and this was only his normal travel speed. In this treasure land, any region with even a slightly higher concentration of native life forms has already been claimed. If I want my own territory, I'll have to go to the remotest, most desolate places. Luo Feng picked a direction and kept flying. In areas crowded with native life forms, a single zone could be home to hundreds, enough for several god kings to share. But in those barren stretches, a huge region might contain only one or two life forms, suitable for solitary occupation. The greatest risk in claiming such a place alone was running into powerful cultivators who might try to seize it. Luo Feng had only ventured out on his own after cultivating in seclusion for 100 epochs under the Emperor's protection. Whoosh! Luohe, this is the territory of the Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's royal family. Leave. This belongs to my Thunder Ancient Country's royal family. Get out, now. Luo Feng avoided the strongholds of major powers whenever possible. When he brushed against vast, entrenched consciousnesses, he was warned off or expelled. He would not again meet anyone as generous as the Emperor, willing to hand him a parcel of land. After a long flight, he reached his destination, 100 Mist Lake. Before him lay an immense, boundless lake, shrouded in drifting mist. 100 Mist Lake is enormous. In its early days, there were hundreds of native life forms here. Later, the monarch of the Thunder Ancient Country monopolized it, and the natives dwindled. Now the whole lake probably only has a handful left. Because multiple factions had once occupied this place, and the life forms were now few and scattered, the great powers no longer cared for it. Only a lone cultivator like Luo Feng would find it attractive. Begin a comprehensive survey of 100 Mist Lake. Undying creation and destruction. Divide. At his thought, Luo Feng split into 9 clones. They fanned out across the mist, carefully hunting for native life forms. Within Infinite Space, 19 origin great paths were sealed. To unleash truly formidable techniques, one had to forge a new path. Over these 100 epochs, Luo Feng had been working to synthesize the life and destruction great path. His progress had been astonishingly fast, much quicker than his comprehension of either the life origin or the destruction origin paths had advanced. Several reasons explained that rapid advance. First, for the life and destruction directions, Luo Feng had already reached the peak of the Chaos realm, with profound accumulation, combining them into a single great path, naturally sped understanding. Second, deep in his heart, Luo Feng believed that creation and destruction were one. That conviction guided him. When he became an eternal true god, what he grasped was the origin of creation and destruction. The first Chaos Realm technique he had comprehended was itself a fusion of creation and destruction, the Saber technique, refining heart. There was no official life and destruction origin great path in the Supreme Rules, so he had temporarily set it aside and focused on the 2 established origins. Still, in his heart, those 2 were raw materials and foundations for forging his own life and destruction path. The life and destruction great path is indeed much stronger. Without a preset blueprint, Luo Feng followed instinct, merging his insights from both life and destruction and consecutively comprehending many moves. I've been on the origin continent for about 160 epochs. These past 100 epochs were my deepest period of accumulation. He knew his progress clearly. The life and destruction great path was an integrated, evolved form of the 2, inheriting many strengths, but also carrying a major drawback. Without a defined great path to imitate, he couldn't yet see the branches of this new path. He had already grasped several God-King level secret techniques in this blended path, and his accumulations there exceeded those in either life or destruction alone. Yet he hadn't fully formed a specific branch. By contrast, the 6 branches of life and the 6 of destruction were visible and familiar to him. Luo Feng felt that if he pushed for it, he might become a god king within an epoch, but he was patient. He followed the guidance of the world lifeform legacy, using tempering and steady accumulation as his base, and waiting for natural breakthroughs rather than forcing them. The opportunities in infinite space had simply allowed him to conceive the life and destruction great path earlier. It confirmed something he already suspected: the path most suited to oneself advances fastest. Most god kings cultivated a single origin great path. Very few pursued two at once. Their spiritual cognition often renders some paths inefficient or repulsive. Like Suo Shanki, each cultivator's mind has its own direction, and forcing a path causes waste. Luo Feng preferred to follow his own nature. I've finished the survey. Using his clone technique, Luo Feng completed the search of Hundred Mist Lake. Currently, 2 god kings each occupy parts of the lake. Outside their domains, there are 3 native life forms left, all quite far apart. 2 of them are ordinary, like those I've faced before. The third is very powerful. It only suffered minor injury when resisting my Li Yuan art. 1 strong, 2 weak. That suited him fine. He wanted powerful spiritual life forms to temper himself, but the weak ones could be used too. I'll take all 3. Though far apart, he decided to claim each area. He split his true body and 2 clones, each taking possession of 1 native life form's territory. Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, Fengjiang City, ancestral land of the Jiang clan, cradle of generations. Ha ha, Brother Luosa, please. Yunge being able to become a Dao companion with Mo Yu Qingyan really is fate between the Jiang clan and the Luo He Great Saint. In a grand hall of the Jiang clan, senior members held a lavish banquet for Morosa, Mo Yu Qingyan, and others. The 2 Chaos masters of the Jiang clan were present, sitting with Morosa at the head table. The 3 Chaos Realm Transcendents chatted and laughed amiably. This kid Qingyan is both my master's disciple and mine, Morosa said with a hearty laugh. If Yunge and Qingyan become Dao companions, he'll be half my disciple too. Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhang Yunge sat below, the 2 juniors listening with polite modesty. Both were pleased at the clan's warm reception. Zhang Yunjie came from a main branch of the Zhang family, but the royal lineage was vast. She was only one eternal true god among more than 10,000. I'm not particularly influential in the clan, she transmitted to Qingyan. The Chaos Masters showing up today is because of your standing. The presence of Chaos Realm Transcendence was significant. As for the Zhang clan's highest, the Fengjiang God King, he was a God King and did not need to involve himself in whether 2 juniors became Dao companions. Even if Luo He Great Saint later rose to dominance as a God King, Fengjiang God King needn't curry favor excessively. He had his own background that let him stand firm in Yanfeng. Qingyan, from now on we're family. Come, drink with us. Zhang Yunge's father, an ordinary eternal true god, beamed at the scene. He was usually of lower status within the clan than the law-line eternal true gods, so today he felt proud. The Chaos Realm elders were also friendly. Mo Yu Qingyan showed no arrogance. He understood his place. His second master had guided him wholeheartedly, and by his master's support, he had become an eternal true god through the bloodline system. He had little innate talent in cultivation. His status was built on being the sole disciple of influential teachers. There was nothing to be proud about. Zhang Yunjie smiled. She had chosen Mo Yu Qingyan as her Dao companion only after she herself had become an eternal true god. When in charge of royal affairs at Xiangji City, she first met him and saw how well regarded he was. Later interactions revealed his steadiness, and she fell for him. Both had waited until the eternal true god realm before picking Dao companions. If there was no suitable partner, they would have been content to cultivate alone. In infinite space, while his disciple prepared to wed, Luo Feng remained focused on cultivation. He sat cross-legged on an island in the lake, refining himself with the Great Destruction Heart refining method to purge spiritual contamination. Stronger spiritual life forms brought stronger contamination. Even the effort to comprehend great paths was constantly interfered with. Boom. Suddenly a consciousness brushed Luo Feng's spreading mind. This is my territory. Leave at once. Your territory? This native life form. I, this old ancestor, have killed it dozens of times. It has always been mine. The spiritual will answered, and it reached the God King's second realm level. In the distant sky, a hulking figure in a yellow robe glared at the island, sneering coldly. So it's Luo He Great Saint. You, a Chaos Realm Transcendent, dare to contest territory with me, this old ancestor? Clear out if you don't want to die. Luo Feng stared back, eyes chill as winter. Then let us see how much strength you, a God King First Realm, truly have in infinite space. Chapter 162, The the first clash of Japanese cuisine. Luo Feng stared at the massive figure in yellow robes and felt a flicker of surprise. He had not expected that the first god king of Shi country he would meet on Origin Continent would appear inside the treasure land, infinite space left by Yuan. Luo Feng knew the publicly available intelligence on every god king on Origin Continent, so he recognized the yellow-robed figure at once. Wuxiang Old Ancestor, one of Shi country's 5 god kings. Among them, Wuxiang Old Ancestor ranked second in strength. The 3 early country lords of Shi country were Heavenly Kun Country Lord, Wuxiang Old Ancestor, and Dao Mo Ancestor, the trio who had once annihilated Jin Kingdom and had become Zuo Shanqi's sworn enemies. Heavenly Kun Country Lord was in existence at God King's second realm. Wuxiang Old Ancestor stood at the peak of God King First Realm, surpassing even Snow Realm Old Ancestor in strength. Dao Mo Ancestor was likewise a powerful God King First Realm. Wuxiang, remembering what he had paid to gain a chance to enter the treasure land, sneered with begrudging anger. With my brother's help, I became an outer member of the Two-World Palace and used up a fortune of merit to get one chance to enter the treasure land, he spat at Luo Feng. And you, a mere chaotic realm transcendent, just walked in. Jealousy and indignation showed plainly on the old man's face. He knew how precious each quota to enter the treasure land was. How many tricks do you have? Wuxiang demanded. If you're seeking death, I'll grant your wish. Infinite space sealed 19 origin great paths. Outside of spiritual will, normal battles depended on the paths one could open. Even an emperor might open a new path that was not especially powerful. Wuxiang felt confident. Although he had not comprehended a complete great path branch on his new path, he had mastered 2 God King level secret techniques. A newly opened path could be unpredictable, but he trusted his karma fire, a branch of the boundless origin great path. Annihilate. He focused his mind, and an invisible force flared over Luo Feng's body. Colorless, transparent flames erupted, licking at Luo Feng's physical body and his spiritual consciousness. This is the karma fire I opened, Wuxiang declared, sure of its power. But Luo Feng did not panic. The karma fire behaved oddly, flames appearing without any visible movement from the old man. Yet Luo Feng's spiritual consciousness was already strong enough that even without Li Yuan art, the fire could not extinguish it. Under the protection of Li Yuan art, the burning only made Luo Feng's spirit feel invigorated. His physical body fared differently. Luo Feng's body was special, an endless source of vitality that constantly broke down and reformed, similar to the Great Destruction heart refining method. It was the God King level body refining method he had comprehended while cultivating the creation and destruction great path, the creation and destruction body. The karma fire, rather than simply injuring him, served as a trial that burned away what his body could not hold and allowed new strength to be forged. In moments, the regenerating body's resistance to karma fire rose sharply. Pure life is not enough, Luo Feng thought. Only by repeatedly annihilating the weak and preserving the strong can the physical body evolve. He was pleased with his creation and destruction body. Old Ancestor, it's my turn now. Luo Feng stepped forward and waved his palm. The palm moved like a blade. The blade light condensed like silk, carrying the resilience of life and the destructive force of Yi Dao Liang Duan, one cut, 2 segments. The God King level blade technique flashed and vanished, slicing through Wuxiang's form like a thread. Wuxiang couldn't dodge in time. His body ignited into colorless flames as the afterforce of the blade passed through him, tenaciously corroding his form. He fought to suppress it. It took a breath or two for the blade force within his flaming body to be fully eradicated. Yu Wuxiang was stunned. You, a Chaos Realm cultivator, can open a path that reaches God King level. Why haven't you become a God King in the outside world? No rush, Luo Feng replied calmly. Old Ancestor, your body is interesting. How many strikes can you take? Undying, Wuxiang roared. Luo Feng's body split at once into 36 copies. Wuxiang's face turned cold. Clones? He can even use clones inside infinite space. He must have clones hidden elsewhere. It's almost impossible to cut off his opportunity here. Slash! The 36 Luo Feng struck in perfect unison. Each palm blade moved as if woven from silk. Though Luo Feng could have created over 50 copies with his spiritual will, 36 were enough to form a blade array. Yi Dao Liang Duan, cycles of creation and destruction. 36 blade lights closed in like a net, suffocating Wuxiang. The blades were not merely powerful, they were relentless, tenacious, returning wave after wave. No matter where Wuxiang tried to flee, the net of blade lights followed. No, Wuxiang's flaming form began to rapidly decay. The blade force was devastating and unending. Panic broke through the old man's composure. "Stop! Everything is negotiable. I will pay compensation. Spare me." Luo Feng looked at him without haste. He could be merciful to ordinary opponents, accept payment, and let them go. But Wu Shang was one of Shi country's 3 great country lords, his master's sworn enemy. Compensation would not suffice. 10,000 merit points in treasures. No, 1,000,000, Wu Shang stammered. 5,000,000. Everything is negotiable. Why do you bully me so? Luo He, very good. I'll remember this. In about 10 breaths, the 36 blade lights had finished their work. Wu Shang, old ancestor's flaming body completely annihilated in infinite space. As he dissolved, his eyes stared madly at Luo Feng. For Luo Feng, it was only an appetizer. "You and I are acquainted now," Luo Feng murmured. This was his first true clash with one of Shi country's country lords. Back in Shi country, in Wushang City's magnificent royal palace, the old man's fury echoed through the halls. Disciples, guards, and servants changed color at the terrifying aura. In a grand hall deep within the palace, Wushang paced and burned with rage. "He actually destroyed my opportunity in the treasure land," he raged. He had spent a fortune to gain entry. He still had over 20 reward points left unspent, and planned to linger in infinite space to accumulate more. Now it was ruined. I would have apologized, offered compensation, but he wouldn't give me the chance. In the outside world, the origin great paths aren't sealed. Luo He will only grow stronger. He may not fear me, but I do not fear him either. His eyes turned cold. "I refuse to believe you have no weakness. If destroying my opportunity means you must pay a price, then find it." He immediately issued orders to buy up all the intelligence on Luo He, everything on his relatives, friends, and disciples. Wu Shang would not endure this insult. In Chu capital, inside Luo Feng's secluded cave mansion in Star Tower, he sat meditating. He knew the victory had been hard won. Wu Shang had indeed comprehended God King level techniques on his new path. Luo Feng had only managed success because of his divine body, clone technique, and blade array. He could not be arrogant. My creation and destruction great path still has not comprehended a complete great path branch, Luo Feng reflected. If I get careless, I could hit the same wall as Wu Shang old ancestor. He decided to deepen his foundations before pushing further. Luo Feng had sequestered in seclusion for 100 epochs already. Now he chose to consume a Hunyuan crystal spirit fruit to accelerate that accumulation. Beside him sat a golden bottle, the clear heart spirit liquid, given to him by Emperor Chuyu as a single portion. Its value far exceeded a single Hunyuan fruit. Even royal elites rarely received such a portion. Luo Feng ate the Hunyuan crystal spirit fruit. Its effects were immediate. His soul felt nourished, his thinking sharpened, and his speed of thought soared. Then he uncorked the golden bottle and drank the clear heart spirit liquid in one go. He had also received generous rewards from the 2 new alliance leaders, Gongsun Shendu and Diaojusi Chen, gifts that had helped him prepare for this step forward. The clear heart spirit liquid spread as soon as it touched his tongue, seeping straight into his soul. Luo Feng felt it instantly. He had already heard some of the liquid's effects from his master, but the reality still stunned him. The Hunyuan crystal spirit fruit had been astonishing. It had increased his thinking speed by 20 to 30 times and kept him in a state of extreme clarity. The clear heart spirit liquid, however, targeted the soul itself. It cleansed, washing away countless distracting thoughts. In Infinite Space's treasure land, when clashing wills with those psychic beings, I often suffered spiritual pollution. I cleaned that off many times, Luo Feng murmured. But washing away external pollutants is one thing. Washing away my own distracting thoughts is far harder. Before coming to Infinite Space, he had practiced the Great Destruction heart refining method for a long time, but progress had been painfully slow. The clear heart spirit liquid, during the span of its effect, could continuously wash through his distracting thoughts. The soul is the core of a cultivator. Once Luo Feng's soul began to undergo this deep-level refinement, he immediately felt the benefits. "I do have far too many distracting thoughts," he admitted. With the liquid's help, he began to sort the countless thoughts accumulated over his long life, thoughts that together made up his conscious mind. They had been chaotic, and that chaos had kept his spirit disorderly. But these thoughts were also part of him. Washing away didn't mean annihilation. Erasing them outright would mean losing part of himself, and Luo Feng refused that method. True cleansing was a reordering. It separated and reorganized his countless memories into systems. Some ideas that distracted him while cultivating the life origin great path were useful for the destruction origin great path. Others strengthened his spiritual will but didn't accelerate cultivation. Thoughts had no simple good or bad label. A shift in spiritual perception could overturn and rebuild everything in an instant. The higher the spiritual will, the harder improvement became. The clear heart spirit liquid seems to let me rise to a higher state and re-examine my many thoughts, he realized. Under the liquid's influence, Luo Feng performed his first major refinement. Then he turned his attention back to the robbery beast diagram. Far away, in infinite space, the scroll Emperor had gifted him slowly unrolled. Emperor, an actual monarch of the Hunyuan bloodline, held a spiritual will calm and composed beyond the typical Hunyuan volatility of lust or madness. His will was the most terrifying Luo Feng had ever felt, transcendent, clearly above his own, almost certainly beyond God-King ultimate realm. The black and red scroll unfurled with a dark, frenzied aura. Luo Feng saw a version of the robbery beast diagram he had never encountered before. At a glance he identified it. This painting corresponded to the 5th through 10th layers of the 3000 Void Tribulation Beast diagram. The common robbery beast diagrams sold outside, even when paired with void diagrams, could depict the full 3000 Void Tribulation Beast diagram, but only superficially. Their robbery beast images were vivid but shallow. This painting, however, though it covered only 6 layers, carried an incomparable depth of conception. It drew Luo Feng in. In the image, he saw a weak calamity beast clinging to a powerful companion. The strong companion used it, putting the weaker beast at risk to hunt for food, then consuming everything himself and leaving nothing. The weak beast, too frail to fend for itself, learned to curry favor, to befriend stronger beasts, to hunt smaller prey, and to steal morsels when it could. And yet the companions and prey were every bit as ready to turn on it. The creature passed through tribulation after tribulation, surviving by strength or by luck. It grew. In strength and spirit, it hardened. Luo Feng watched the calamity beast in its most desperate phase. Countless things could kill it. It was exploited and forced to endure, because one slip could mean death and being devoured. Prey could fight back. Allies could betray. The danger was constant, but tempered in that darkness, both inner spirit and outward power, something formidable was forged. Within the painting, Luo Feng glimpsed a method of cultivating spiritual will. It was Emperor's deepest insight from observing the calamity beast's shadow, a spiritual cultivation method Emperor had derived. The versions of the robbery beast diagram Emperor spread openly were only the surface. Blindly chasing completeness made them weaker. A particular segment of the calamity beast's shadow had resonated with Emperor's own growth. That segment had yielded his greatest revelations. He had painted it continually and fashioned it into his spiritual method. He did not give that core to everyone, only to those he considered worthy. He had not misjudged Luo Feng. Luo Feng had risen from weakness, had repeatedly faced life and death struggles, and could empathize with that mindset. Though his own hardships were not as cruel as the calamity beasts, there was a resonance. Luo Feng's mind slid into the painting, and he felt himself become the calamity beast, hollowed out and tempered in darkness. When weak, there is sometimes no retreat. One must seek life in death. Weakness is the original sin. Profit is eternal. The calamity beast's experiences were darker and crueler than any of Luo Feng's previous trials. They honed his spirit until it grew hard as iron. Shi Country, Wuxiang City. Where did this Luo He come from? He has no known origin, and his close associates are only an old servant, Luo Sa, someone named Yuan, and a disciple, Mo Yu Qingyan. Wuxiang old ancestor mused. Could he be a reincarnation of some ancient figure? But I've never heard of anyone in history who cultivated the life, destruction, and material origin great paths at once, he continued. In infinite space, he may even be branching into a fourth origin path. Most ancient masters had focused on a single great path. Cultivating three simultaneously was almost unheard of among God-King level cultivators across the origin continent. Those few were famous and never known to have fallen. If he's not a reincarnation, then he truly is extraordinary. That he hides his ethnicity could mean two things. Either he conceals his clan, or he comes from one of the 3,000 primordial universes, and his clan remains at home, the old ancestor thought. Cultivators from the primordial universes were scarce in the origin continent, but those who had come up from nothing possessed tremendous potential. Many ancient powers had originated that way. Yuan lives in Xiangji City next to Luo He, he added. Luo Sa and Mo Yu Qingyan are currently elsewhere. His eyes went cold. An old servant and a disciple, they must mean something special to him. Since he destroyed my chance in infinite space, I will teach him a light lesson by eliminating his servant and disciple. When I discover his clan, I will exterminate them. Wuxiang old ancestors' killing intent flared. As a God-King First Realm expert, not affiliated with the two great ancient kingdoms, he had paid dearly, burning friendships even with the Lord of Heavenly Kun country, to secure his opportunity. He was willing to pay, to compensate, but Luo He had still destroyed the opportunity. Shadow Sky World. He contacted the most mysterious force on the origin continent, Shadow Sky World. Nameless God King, who do you want eliminated? Came the reply. Shadow Sky World was the continent's top assassination organization. No one knew its internal members, only that at one time it had deployed a combatant with monarch-level power, an event that shook the continent and affirmed Shadow Sky World's terrifying reach. Whether that monarch-level presence was one of the two great ancient kingdoms' monarchs or some other hidden expert, Shadow Sky World's status was unquestioned. I want Luo He great saint's servant Luo Sa and disciple Mo Yu Qingyan killed, Wuxiang old ancestor transmitted. Do you want us to attempt to assassinate Luo He himself? He has a clone in Chu capital. We still have a 50% chance of success, Shadow Sky World replied. That operation, however, would require our highest level members and a payment of 1,000 Hunyuan crystals or equivalent items. 1,000 Hunyuan crystals, the old ancestor's heart wavered. Was that a cost a God King First Realm could afford? Just kill the servant and disciple, he replied. His servant Luo Sa is in the Chaos realm. Killing him will cost 50 billion cosmic sand, Shadow Sky World said. His disciple Mo Yu Qingyan is an eternal true god and Luo He's only direct disciple. Killing him costs 10 billion cosmic sand. Luo Sa may have clones and could reincarnate, Shadow Sky World continued. If you pay 500 billion cosmic sand, we can send a high-level member to instantly eliminate all of Luo Sa's clones. All assassinations carry risk, and fees are non-refundable, Shadow Sky World added bluntly, as always. Wuxiang old ancestor was not surprised by the terms. Shadow Sky World's words were harsher than most, but the organization always acted with deadly efficiency. He considered the sums. If he could afford 500 billion, he might act personally to avoid shame, but the price was enormous. He did not mind spending money to preserve face, so he let Shadow Sky World handle the dirty work. No, 600 billion cosmic sand will do, he said. He would pay to wipe out any chance of failure. Please transfer the 60 billion cosmic sand immediately. Once received, we will act. Shadow Sky World said, though the number here seems inconsistent, the organization's demands were clear. Funds first, strikes after. Meanwhile, inside Infinite Space's Treasureland, Luo Feng was still immersed in the robbery beast diagram when the mark on his left palm flashed. Huh? He noticed. A notification from the palm mark, a system update. Trialist, Origin Continent Luo Feng. Fighting with God King level secret methods, new Great Path evaluation, intermediate. Reward points, 100 points. You have not opened a new Great Path branch. Keep working. Chaos Realm Body, reaching God King Ultimate Realm Will. Spiritual Will evaluation, superior. Reward points, 10,000 points. Your spiritual will is excellent. Please maintain it after becoming a God King. Total reward points, 10,192.34 points. When he first comprehended a God King level secret method for the creation and destruction Great Path, he had received 100 reward points. After comprehending more God King level methods, he had received no further new path rewards until this update. God King Ultimate Realm Will? Luo Feng smiled. According to Infinite Space's judgment, he had at last reached the threshold of God King Ultimate Realm Will. 10,000 points at once, an enormous sum. He tallied his gains mentally. Over his time in Infinite Space, he had accumulated 10,100 reward points for his spiritual will, 100 points for opening a new great path, and 22.34 points from killing local creatures, totaling 10,222.34 points. He had spent 30 points to exchange for the world life form, leaving him with 10,192.34 points. I've gotten rich overnight, Luo Feng thought. Opening new great paths and breaking through in spiritual will were by far the fastest ways to earn reward points, far more lucrative than slaughtering local denizens. Chapter 164, Members of Shadow Heaven. Luo Feng felt the imprint on his palm and began to inspect the Infinite Space treasure trove. Inside the trove, he could view information about inheritances up to the amount of his reward points. The list had changed, and the first entries made him pause. Hunyuan Array Diagram, 3 scrolls. First scroll, Perfect Great Inheritance, requires 10,081 reward points to exchange. One must cultivate the Space Origin Great Path to the limit of the God King's second realm just to have a chance at the entry chapter. Destruction 9 Realms, second and third realms, Perfect Great Inheritance, requires 10,000 points tied to the God King's second realm. Path of Initial, first step, Perfect Grade, 10,000 points, God King's second realm. It demands both the Material Origin Great Path and the Boundless Origin Great Path at God King's second realm to even begin. 8 Tribulation Lifeform, 4th and 5th Tribulations, 10,000 points, God King Ultimate Realm Chapter. World Lifeform, 2nd Chapter, Special Grade, 3,000 points, God King second realm. 8 Tribulation Lifeform, 2nd and 3rd Tribulations, 500 points, God King second realm chapter. Luo Feng sifted through the countless entries. Perfect grade inheritances that reached the God King second realm chapter cost roughly 10,000 points. Special grade ones at that chapter were about 3,000 points. High-grade God King second realm chapters were around 500 points, while ultimate realm chapters could be as much as 10,000. Mid-grade inheritances that reached the God King Ultimate Realm chapter cost only about 2,000 points. He finally grasped the scale. The gifts his master Di Chu had given him, the 8 Tribulation Lifeform, and the secret technique of cutting 72 slashes up to the God King Ultimate Realm chapters, were worth roughly 20,000 reward points by Infinite Space standards. No wonder the powerhouses of the 2 great ancient kingdoms considered this treasure land ordinary. For them, earning reward points was painfully slow. They could pick up high-grade inheritances easily within their homelands. What drew them to Infinite Space were the perfect grade and special grade inheritances, but those were prohibitively expensive and reward points were hard to come by. Luo Feng knew the arithmetic. With his Chaos Realm body, he had reached the God King Ultimate Realm Will and earned 10,000 reward points. A God King First Realm body, achieving the same, would gain only 1,000 points. For the ancient existences, even buying a special grade inheritance at the God King Second Realm was nearly impossible. Still, many ancient beings left their consciousness here. The difficulty of pioneering great paths and molding mind and will was astronomically high. Most accumulated points by hunting local creatures. Dozens of long campaigns would steadily amass a few dozen points. He didn't hesitate. Luo Feng exchanged for 3 more special grade inheritances, all God King First Realm chapters. Life Evolution Diagram, Entry Chapter, Special Grade, 30 reward points, an inheritance centered on the Life Origin Great Path. It didn't leverage his formless and faceless ability, but its life studies surpassed even world life form. Chaotic Whole Beast Body, First Transformation, Special Grade, 30 points. Focused on the Destruction Origin Great Path, teaching how to cultivate an indestructible, devastating body. Destruction Wanderer, First Chapter, Special Grade, 30 points. A path that pursued ultimate annihilation. He noticed a restriction. Special grade and perfect grade inheritances capped at the God King Ultimate Realm chapter unless one received personal instruction from the creator. High-grade inheritances could contain content beyond the God King Ultimate Realm. Still, even limited to God King levels, these special-grade texts would deepen his foundation. Previously penniless, he had to ration points. Now he could afford the best conditions for each stage. He would not recklessly attempt perfect-grade paths without meeting the thresholds that brought future trouble. Hopefully, he thought, these special-grade works would help his life form advance. In the 100 epochs of secluded cultivation, he had accumulated profound knowledge in the 3-in-1 form and understood 6 different 3-in-1 permutations. He aimed to comprehend the most complete 10-direction world form in the Chaos Realm, the embodiment of the 6 major branches of life. Theoretically, if all 6 branches reached the peak of the primal Chaos Realm, one could grasp it. In practice, even God Kings who had mastered 3 or 4 branches found it extremely difficult. As a Chaos Realm cultivator who had not truly mastered any Great Path branch, forcing the comprehension would be near impossible. Even though his mind and will had reached the God King Ultimate Realm, and he possessed multiple special-grade inheritances and had consumed Hunyuan Crystal Spirit Fruit and Clear Heart Spirit Liquid, it was still a tall order. But pursuing high-level secret arts from a low-level realm was training in itself. Even if he failed, his comprehension would be tempered. Luo Feng accepted that outcome calmly and resolved to strive in that direction. Far away, Mo Yu Qingyan and his wife Zhang Yunge from Fengjiang City received a warm, lavish welcome from the Zhang clan. Zhang Yunge had never been so honored. At the insistence of relatives and friends, they stayed there far longer than intended. Eventually, they bade farewell and boarded a flying vessel bound for Huyang City, accompanied by Morosa and a few attendants. "We meant to stay 10 or 20 days, Mo Yu Qingyan said ruefully, but we ended up staying over 1,000 days. My father and relatives invited us to so many events." Zhang Yunge smiled. "We couldn't refuse." Morosa, lounging at the front of the cabin, answered casually when asked how long the trip would take. "About a day. If he revealed his full strength, he could have brought them there in moments." Mo Yu Qingyan glanced at him. "My father and big brother have been waiting a long time. I want to get back." As the flying vessel cut through the void, a shadow watched them at a distance. Fengjiang City was the domain of Fengjiang God King and studded with defensive arrays. The shadow declined to act inside the city. It drifted silently, following the vessel. Molose's expression, usually relaxed, tightened. Through his perception, he felt a hidden shadow rapidly approaching, cloaked within layered spatial techniques. The method was not that of an ordinary Chaos Realm cultivator. Not good. He felt a chill. The shadow's techniques suggested either a God King or a Chaos Realm transcendent. Why pursue this modest vessel? Molosa wondered, and he feared for the 2 weaker disciples aboard. Could they be implicated because of their master? He immediately sent a mental message. "Master, an enemy suspected to be a Chaos Realm Transcendent or God King is approaching. If you don't come out, I won't be able to hide my strength." Luo Feng had been channeling most of his consciousness into the imprint on Mo Yu Qingyan's palm. The water drop imprint suddenly reformed, separating from the palm and manifesting as a real droplet. "What is that?" Zhang Yunge asked as the water droplet appeared out of thin air. Then a blurred figure tried to pass through the cabin wall, moving to bypass Mo Yu Qingyan, Zhang Yunge, and Molosa. "Audacious!" Luo Feng's voice rang out. The water droplet expanded into a cage and snapped shut around the intruder. Trapped, the shadow was forced to reveal itself. "Luo He, I didn't expect you to set a clone to guard your disciple. You do care for him." Its aura was carefully concealed. It did not match any known power on Origin Continent. "Hiding so cautiously, are you an assassin?" Luo Feng asked, knowing that some ancient beings took assassination contracts to quickly gain resources. The shadow laughed. "I won't hide it from you. I am a member of Shadow Heaven. Since you, Luo He, are here, I'll give you face and descend with my true body. Let's see if you can protect your subordinates and your disciple." The water cage tightened and ground the shadow into dust. The droplet then reshaped into Luo Feng's figure. "Master," Molosa bowed respectfully. "Master." Mo Yu Qingyan followed suit. "Greetings, Town Defender," Zhang Yunjie said, Nervous and awed, this was her first time meeting the legendary Luo He Great Saint. Luo Feng's gaze flicked outward. Not far ahead, he felt an overwhelming power closing in. The attacker's true body had arrived. Luo Feng felt the terrifying power descending, a corrosive force that seemed able to eat away at everything. If his true body had been present, he could have resisted it. With only a single clone, he no longer felt confident. Morosa, get the backup plan ready, Luo Feng transmitted. Backup plan? Morosa, who had been preparing to watch the battle from the side, shivered inwardly. Having come to the origin continent, his identity as a world beast must not be revealed until he had absolute strength. Still, he and his master did have a contingency, the formless and faceless ability they both possessed, allowing them to swap identities. Luo Feng would become Morosa, and Morosa would become Luo Feng. As Luo Feng, Morosa could unleash even more terrifying power. Good. I'll be ready, Morosa said, eager. Don't worry yet. Keep an eye on them, Luo Feng replied, then slipped through the flying vessel and appeared outside. Mo Yu Qingyan and his wife watched from inside the vessel, their faces tight with attention as two God-King-level powers readied to clash. The attendants nearby were both terrified and exhilarated. This was an extremely rare spectacle. Watch closely, Morosa said to Mo Yu Qingyan and the others. If things go south, I'll take you into a spatial treasure. Yes, Second Master, Mo Yu Qingyan and his wife answered, their eyes never leaving the scene. Luo Feng hovered in midair without a weapon. Far off loomed a massive gray fog that radiated a poisonous, corrupting aura, as if it aimed to pollute all things in heaven and earth. I've got records on many ancient existences here, but I don't recognize you, Luo Feng said, eyeing the gray cloud. I've heard the Shadow Sky World is skilled at concealing its members. Luo Feng did not underestimate a mysterious force that could employ Emperor Lord-level might. The gray fog formed a face and stared back. There's a lot you don't understand, little fellow, it said. Who hired your Shadow Sky World to act, to attack my servants and disciples? How shameless, Luo Feng replied. The Shadow Sky World doesn't betray its clients, the gray fog said. In truth, the fog didn't know who had hired it. The Shadow Sky World had specialists who handled that. This job didn't require dealing with you, but I want to try. Kill your servants and disciples right in front of you, little fellow. When I act, I won't show mercy, Luo Feng said. Ha ha! You dare speak of mercy? The gray fog laughed, its voice booming across heaven and earth. As it laughed, the rules of the world shifted, the direction of the distant flying vessel wavered, and the entire scene took on a dull gray tone. Not good. Inside the vessel, Mo Yu Qingyan and his wife watched as the once vibrant world suddenly drained of color. Panic tightened their hearts. If the gray envelope reached them, they feared death. And within the gray, the only color, Luo Feng's figure, seemed to vanish. Water droplet, heaven and earth. A vast realm of water droplets unfolded, a trillion-kilometer sphere that enveloped the flying vessel and the gray cloud. Within this water droplet, heaven and earth, the local laws of reality shifted again, and the gray corruption began to recede. Your grasp of the laws is ordinary, the gray fog sneered, only to realize this Luohe was no ordinary opponent. Even a single clone could suppress its influence. You, a mere small clone, with how much power, dare to block me? The gray fog roared and surged forward like collapsing heaven and earth, shredding spatial layers. Luo Feng judged the incoming assault correctly. This was the fog holding back its full strength. The true eruption would come at collision. His water droplet heaven and earth only held 1,000 water droplets, too few to withstand a direct clash at full strength. The clone he'd sent contained those 1,000 droplets, capable of manifesting up to 1,000 individual clones. With emotion, the enormous water droplet heaven and earth split into 360 Luo Fengs. Each water droplet was condensed from 108,000 billion particles, comparable to a perfectly cultivated chaos layer creature. Even an ordinary move from such a being would reach primal chaos realm peak strength. When a water droplet unleashed God-King level techniques, it could reach chaotic realm transcendent power. Yi Dao Liang Duan, one cut, two segments, cycle of life and death. The 360 Luo Fengs became streaks of blade light, each one the God-King blade art Yi Dao Liang Duan. He formed a blade array, both because it made a strong formation and because it was the simplest move for his mind to execute. After reaching God King Ultimate Realm Will, Luo Feng could have dozens of clones perform Yi Dao Liang Duan simultaneously. This time he managed 360 clones thanks to the effects of Hunyuan Crystal Spirit Fruit and the Clear Heart Spirit Liquid, which heightened his thinking speed and mental state. The gray cloud surged, but 360 condensed blade lights flashed and cut into it. The blades had extreme destructive potency. They cooperated, grinding and eroding the gray mass, the fog visibly corroded. How can a single clone be this strong? The gray cloud raged. It didn't know that in long-range attacks, this was already one of Luo Feng's killing moves. There were even more powerful long-range assaults, ones that relied on sheer numbers, like 10 million water droplet blade lights unleashing the Knife River slash at the Chaos Realm threshold, but Luo Feng had only one clone here. Forming a God King blade array was terrifying. In infinite space, Luo Feng could deal with the Wuxiang Old Ancestor with just 36 blades, but the Wuxiang there couldn't even use a single branch of his great Dao and was far weaker than his true body. The opponent before Luo Feng was on the origin continent, his true body, and his foundation was immense. Even if I exhaust all my blade lights, I won't hurt him much, Luo Feng thought. The blade array was grinding the gray cloud and corroding its body, but his blade lights were being consumed in the process. Even a single clone of yours can rank among the choicest of chaotic realm transcendence. Too bad it's only a clone. Your servants and disciples will still die, the gray cloud said with certainty. With a rumbling, Luo Feng's 360 blade lights were entirely annihilated, consumed in the mutual obliteration. Inside the vessel, Morosa, Mo Yu Qingyan and his wife, and the attendants watched in mounting anxiety. Hope had flickered when the blade array first bit into the fog, but now they seemed about to be defeated. Master is only a clone. This enemy is his true body. If Master's true body were here, this enemy would surely not win, Mo Yu Qingyan said with confidence in his master, though he knew the situation was dire. If Master can't hold them off, I suppose I'll die too, he added, looking at his wife with an unusual calm. Are we going to die? Zhang Yunge smiled faintly at him. We're still too weak in this world, Qingyan. Stop talking nonsense. Hide, Morosa snapped, sweeping Mo Yu Qingyan, Zhang Yunje, and the attendants into himself. He seemed nervous, but was inwardly thrilled. Master, shall I start the backup plan? Morosa asked, eager. He'd been waiting. Not yet, Luo Feng replied. Morosa blinked. Might the master have another trick? His other powerful clones were in places like Huyang City and Xiangji City, far away and unlikely to arrive in time. Opening a space-time passage with treasures would surely be intercepted by a god king. While Luo Feng's blade lights were being eaten away, the gray cloud charged directly at the flying vessel. The water droplet heaven and earth revealed an illusory Luo Feng, cold and unflinching. As the two sides' powers annihilated and consumed each other, Luo Feng could sense the will embedded in the opponent's force. The enemy's mental will was weak. Luo Feng judged it to be, at most, God King First Realm. Annihilate. Without hesitation, Luo Feng unleashed the Li Yuan art. Bolstered by the clear heart spirit liquid sharpening his mind, this execution of the Li Yuan art felt perfect. The gray fog saw nothing but a majestic rolling star barreling toward it, a crushing force that made it tremble. No, it realized its fate too late. Puff! Under the star's pressure, its mental will was utterly annihilated. The towering gray mass collapsed into shivering, liquid-like mist. His true body was just gray mist? Luo Feng flew closer to inspect. Because the water droplet heaven and earth had covered their battle, outsiders would have difficulty perceiving it. Only Morosa, watching from the distant flying vessel, had seen it all. Dead? Morosa's eyes widened. Another will-sealing secret art? He flashed to his master's side. Master, who was that god king? He asked, staring at the gray mist that still drifted and tried to corrode its surroundings. I don't know, but that was his true form, Luo Feng said. News of a god king's death will spread across the origin continent soon enough. We'll find out who it was. May I have the corpse? Morosa's voice grew eager. He'd been a god king for over 100 epochs. Absorbing heaven and earth energy alone was slow. Devouring a god king whose path differed from his could be immensely beneficial. I'll examine it first, then I'll give it to you, Luo Feng said, waving a hand to collect the gray mist. Keep the fact that I completely killed this god king a secret. Yes, master, Morosa agreed immediately. Luo Feng nodded to himself. This was the first god king he had completely destroyed since arriving on the origin continent. That wasn't just luck. The enemy's mental will had been relatively weak. From its behavior, Luo Feng judged it could barely muster a God King First Realm will. Had its mental will been 30 to 50% stronger, completely annihilating, it might have been far more difficult. Chapter 166, Lord of Shadow Heaven. Don't release Qingyan and the others for now, Luo Feng ordered. I'll get you to Huyang City as quickly as possible. He had a powerful clone waiting in Huyang City, enough to handle most dangers. The weak clone that had managed to kill that gray mist entity had been lucky. Partly it was because of the Li Yuan art he possessed, but mostly because the gray mist entity's soul was unusually weak for a god king first realm. Even among god kings, such frailty of will was rare. Many peak primal chaos realm beings had soul wills that reached god king level. A god king first realm with such a weak soul will is indeed rare, Luo Feng muttered. Master, this assassination was aimed at Qingyan and me, Morosa said, confused. Logically, Qingyan and I shouldn't attract such a powerful enemy. It's because of me, Luo Feng replied. Not long ago, I ruined a major opportunity belonging to the nameless god king from Shi country. After a moment's thought, Luo Feng had already guessed the likely mastermind. Since arriving on Origin Continent, he'd kept a low profile and made few enemies. For someone to hire a Shadow Skyworld envoy solely to kill a servant and a disciple, only the nameless God King would make such a grand gesture. The world beast from Tianmu country cultivated a fairly complete life within its inner world, Qingyan said, studying the corpse. And the being from East Extremity Domain, the life enlightened by that minor life origin path, is more complete than many beings' cultivated life. But the Mist Envoy's soul was strikingly poor, the thunder-like figure said. How could he suddenly die? A guest god king needed 50 million merit points to exchange for a spot. Wuxiang, old ancestor, had strained to achieve his god king first realm limit and deserved better. Chaotic realm transcendence, many of them are richer than me, Qingyan added, continuing to examine the body. Shadow Skyworld's clone is protecting us, a voice from Shadow Skyworld reported. If another assassination is needed, sending someone stronger will cost 500 billion cosmic sand. We cannot act again without that payment. The two core powers on Origin Continent are Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom and Thunder Ancient Country, the Heavenly Kun Country Lord said. If you keep a good relationship with Yanfeng, everyone will think twice before targeting you. So this matter with Zhao Ying ends here. Zhao Yingjian, standing before his elder brother, did not hide anything. He recounted the events that had unfolded in the limited space, how Shadow Sky World had been hired to act, and then cut off the communication. All the resources he spent since cultivating? Wuxiang old ancestor must be losing his mind, Luo He said. Master, you've truly made a mortal enemy of him. Yes, the thunder figure replied respectfully. The flying boat, guided by Qingyan, shot through the void at tremendous speed. Qingyan kept studying the corpse. Even in death, the entity was extraordinary. Zhao Yingjian had tried to kill it with a blade array and had discovered how durable the mist body was. Every blade array had been consumed while the mist suffered almost no damage. Two possibilities, the figure in the pavilion mused. He either encountered a terrifying existence with an immensely strong soul will that annihilated him instantly, or he ran into someone accomplished on the soul path. Either way, it's not an ordinary matter. He probably spent everything on strengthening his body, Qingyan guessed. Luo He waved his hand and released Zhao Yingjian and his wife with their retinue back into the flying boat. Wuxiang, old ancestor, the mission failed, Shadow Sky World finally reported. A bolt of lightning flashed as one of their envoys teleported straight to a bustling pavilion inside Shadow Sky World. The corpse's gray mist had already condensed into liquid in places, gray vapor still drifting across its surface. He had a clone in Shadow Sky World, the figure in the pavilion said. There were no karma attacks descending on Shadow Sky World. This was likely a soul attack of some kind. Soul will annihilation, illusion control, anything is possible. Shadow Sky World has a great reputation, but they failed, Zhao Yingjian said, both furious and embarrassed. He had lost a huge opportunity, and after paying 80 billion cosmic sand to hire Shadow Sky World, they had still failed. We can select someone from the Divine Sons and try to cultivate a new mist envoy, the pavilion figure suggested. But cultivating power through external forces always has significant flaws. No matter how many you craft, when they encounter a truly powerful existence, a single sweep of will can annihilate them. This corpse, Qingyan interrupted, holding up a small trove he had found inside the body. There were storage treasures and a hidden God King weapon the enemy had never had time to use. Some special treasures and a God King First Realm golden spike, he said, turning the golden object over in his hand. Together, they're barely worth 100 billion cosmic sand. Although the Mist Envoy's soul will was weak, it still reached the God King First Realm threshold, the Thunder figure observed. To kill him only by soul would require a will surpassing the God King Ultimate Realm. Very few in all of Origin Continent could do that. As for the soul path, those whose soul techniques reach God King level are also scarce. The Mist Envoy is completely dead. All clones annihilated? Another Thunder figure cried upon hearing the news. He died thoroughly, the Shadow Sky World Lord said after a moment. To him, envoys were experimental subjects, loyal and expendable. He frowned at the loss, but also recognized the value of understanding what had happened. This unexpected situation is worth investigating. We must pay a high price for information. Who else could have done this? Mo Yuqing asked in disbelief. Just an ordinary Chaos Realm being and an eternal true god, and Shadow Sky World failed. On another note, you and Zhao Ying fighting will lead to no good, the Heavenly Kun Country Lord warned over the communique. He is Dichu's direct disciple. If you truly fight him, not only will you fail to kill him, but you'll also ruin my relationship with Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. Mo Yuqing gritted his teeth in frustration, but knew acting personally would be foolish. He could only contact his elder brother and swallow his anger. The one from East Extremity Domain survived the Source World's destruction, the pavilion figure added. He is different. Luo He urged his retinue to hurry. Luo Sa, go see your father. After that, return to Xiangji City early. The flying boat had already arrived above Huyang City. Luo Feng's clone is protecting us, Shadow Sky World reiterated. How did he die? Someone demanded. Qingyan tried to destroy the remaining mist. As parts of the gray mist dissolved, it regenerated. It looked like fog, yet it was incredibly tough. Even Huang Feng City Lord, who had poured everything into strengthening his body, would have managed only about 40 billion cosmic sand worth of resources. This corpse had been strangely impoverished for a god king. Despite the mysterious circumstances, the immediate problem was solved. The retinue disembarked. Luo He led them toward the city lord's mansion. Qingyan, still studying the body, packaged the treasures for later absorption. He smiled to himself. If Luo He absorbed the corpse, its value would benefit Luo He's position. Luo He's standing in Origin Continent depended in part on his excellent ties with several Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom emperors, and admittedly, his culinary skills, as strange as that sounded, had earned him favor among those emperors. Return to Star Tower to collect it, Zhao Ying told Qingyan before he vanished. Even if someone absorbed the corpse, it had to be done within Star Tower. The communications cut off. Zhao Yingjian was displeased but kept his composure, while Shadow Sky World set about investigating the wholly unexpected annihilation of their mist envoy. Far away, in a vast hidden realm, the Shadow Sky World, its lord sat in his pavilion and quietly strode through the affairs of his domain, pondering the implications of an envoy whose clones had all been utterly destroyed. Chapter 167. Calm Mo Yuqingyan and his wife, Yunge, had been in Huyang City long enough to feel the tug of home. Qingyan lingered at the gate, reluctant. This is where I grew up, he said. My father and my eldest brother are here. Yunje, sometimes I wish we could stay. Master even has a clone here. I could seek his guidance often. Yunje smiled and squeezed his hand. I know how you feel, but from a cultivator's perspective, Huyang is just a small city in Yu country, remote and lacking the resources we need. Xiangji City is on the border of the two great ancient kingdoms. Its opportunities and resources far outstrip this place. For cultivation, resources matter. She added gently, your father and Mo Li Meng jointly hold the deputy city lord position here. If you stay, are you planning to take that role? Your second master and the primeval god lord are both in Xiangji City, and they've already guided you. For ourselves and for our children, Xiangji is the better choice. Qingyan nodded. I understand. I just needed to say it out loud. Mo Yu Li, Qingyan's father, watched his son with both pride and worry. Remember this, he said. Luo City Lord is your greatest chance. Don't squander it. He repeated the warning as if to anchor it in Qingyan's mind. Be grateful, stay humble, and beware arrogance. Luo City Lord's temperament and the web of loyalties among the Luo and Mo families meant everyone had to be cautious. At the same time, far above the city in the Star Tower, Morosa, a world beast whose true body remained within that tower, was busy digesting a god king-level corpse. His clone accompanied the family as they prepared to leave, observing from a distance. Morosa lifted his head and shared his conclusions with quiet gravity. This corpse is unusual, he said. Its physical body was refined by an existence far beyond the ordinary, a body forged by the combination of profound material origin and immeasurable origin principles. Its true depth exceeds God King First Realm. It may be God King Second Realm, or even approach a God King Ultimate Realm in terms of its physical foundation. Mo Yu Qingyan's brow tightened. So why was its spiritual will so weak? Molosa's gaze was steady. Because whoever created this body used external means to bestow the vessel. A strong body alone is not enough. Spiritual will is what controls and unlocks that potential. The deceased's will was shallow. He could only tap into a fraction of that mighty body. If his will had been strong, the corpse would have exhibited a far greater power. And, Qingyan asked, Molosa's tone turned solemn. This corpse can teach much, but a cultivator at God King First Realm cannot truly cultivate what lies within it. The essence of that body transcends the comprehension such a realm permits. It's helpful. I'm learning subtleties of the material and immeasurable grand Taos, but the corpse itself cannot be fully absorbed by someone of only God King First Realm strength. Inside the city lord's mansion, the Mo family, Mo Li Meng, and other friends gathered to bid Qingyan and Yunge farewell. Presents and resources were offered. Mo Yu Li accepted them with gratitude. Luo family members looked on from the sidelines. Luo Feng's clone, watching from afar, noted how generous Qingyan's seventh uncle had been. The support he received outshone what the elders provided. In Huyang City, where family ties decided status, such displays mattered. When the last farewells were done, Molosa summoned a flying boat with a sweep of his hand. He, Shangje Chengyan, Qingyan and Yunge, and their attendants boarded. The vessel rose and vanished into the sky, bound for Chu capital, and onward to the border city of Mo Yu Feng in the territory of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom. As they traveled, Molosa reflected in a low voice. The corpse has valuable mysteries, insights into the 10 directions world form and other methods, but it also widened my perspective. It makes clear the importance of comprehension and spiritual will. A powerful physical body without a matching spiritual will is like an extraordinary instrument without a player. Qingyan watched the clouds pass beneath them. He had married into status, married a princess of sorts, and his future seemed bright. Yet he had also followed the bloodline cultivation path from the start and knew the limitations it imposed compared to law-based cultivation. His son, Mo Yu Chun, born after the tragic death of a brother, had been cultivated along the law path in his early years and still stood at true God level, a reminder that paths diverged and progress came in different rhythms. Shangji Chengyan, the second master, came by and murmured, "It's time to depart." He shared Molosa's subdued concern. From a single corpse, you can see how far we still have to go. Compared to the peak existences of the origin continent, we remain weak. Luo family scions who watched the departure had their own calculations. Resources mattered, mentors mattered, and those who had the right backing could leap forward. For Qingyan, Luo City Lord's patronage was a boon that demanded humility. For Molosa, every corpse and every inheritance was a lesson, and a reminder that some mysteries were meant to be observed rather than forced. The flying boat cut the sky in silence. carrying them away from the small comforts of Huyang City and toward the greater, harsher world where resources, comprehension, and spiritual will determined fate. Chapter 168, Royal Family of the Ancient Yanfeng Kingdom. In a vast, starless world, countless sentient beings fought for survival. At last, after a desperate struggle, one of their number shouted, "We won! We've completely annihilated this world-ending horror." Relief washed through the survivors. "One down out of 7, another cried. A new beginning. The 3 remaining powerful cultivators breathed easier. The ranks of world life forms in the rear base erupted in jubilant cheers. If we pass the torch down the generations, eventually we'll wipe them all out. Our world will see light and freedom again. Hope flared like a fragile candle in the dark. Then the sky split. A gigantic blood-red eye opened above them, and the cheer died on every tongue. A cold terror settled in their chests. It's the Eye of Darkness. It's the heavenly Tao-level horror. The Eye of Darkness. Panic rippled through the crowd. Only the 2 great royal houses dared to ignore chaotic realm transcendence and special god kings. Even then, the royal families arrayed themselves together. Without the protection of a major house, ordinary cultivators were the weakest force in the limited space. Dion stiffened. The sight of the regal, bloodshot orb put every nerve on edge. Nearby, a presence announced itself. God King Wushu. Dion recognized the man. He was a god king tied to Emperor Wu's lineage among the Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, estimated at the peak of the god king First Realm. A figure swooped in beside him, a white-haired woman in a gray robe. She glanced at Dion with cool interest. "So it's Dian." Her tone carried the dismissive air of the court. The relationship between Emperor Wu's lineage and Luo Hei's lineage had long been poisoned by rivalry and accumulated grievances. Even in this crisis, the old enmities simmered. Every world life form felt the eye's presence like a physical thing, the heavenly Tao-level horror screaming straight into their souls. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the Eye of Darkness withdrew from the sky. It had not fully joined the fray. If it had, all restrictions would stiffen, and the royal family god kings would be able to dictate terms, conscripting lesser powers as their pawns. Dion felt the sting of exclusion. Dion, number 1 in the Chaos realm, has no weight here, he thought with a wry chuckle as he hovered. He had not come unprepared. Mind-type world life forms, once their minds were shattered, disappeared utterly. Dion had left a clone to guard an especially powerful mind-world life form. He could not destroy it now. A long campaign would be required. Worse, the creature had inflicted 10 punishment points on him, far higher than what mere repeated hits would usually rack up. The limited space was exceptional, but perilous. It had sealed 14 origin Great Daos. To use God King level techniques here, one had to open a new Great Dao. Even someone of Dion's stature had to bow to that rule. The inheritance warehouses in the limited space contained will-based techniques, some created by Yuan's friends, and the gap between those and the famed Li Yuan art was narrowing. With the right combination, a God King might finally eradicate ordinary mind-world life forms. "You didn't get a quota to come here from us," God King Wushu said with a smile that was not kind. "Where did you get your quota, Dian? Did Luo Feng secretly give you one?" "Don't mind him," the white-haired woman, God King Yanjiang, cut in, casting an appraising glance at Dian. "Even if he reached God King rank, he's only unrivaled in the God King First Realm. He won't trouble our royal family in the slightest." Dian sensed the thinly veiled hostility. The royal families, especially Yanfeng's, kept the lion's share of the limited space's resources for themselves and tolerated outsiders only on strict terms. Dian had learned that Yanjiang was not one to be trifled with. "I'll report to the emperor and investigate," she said icily. "If Luo Feng secretly handed out quotas, he won't be lightly forgiven." Luo Feng, who stood nearby, heard the rebuke and tightened. Master had warned him not to join Yanfeng's court unless personally invited by the ancestor. That advice rang true now. Courtesies toward outsiders were rare in these circles. The scene below shifted. The Eye of Darkness, even without fully manifesting, had a terrible effect. The heavenly Tao itself had twisted, aligning the ultimate direction of cultivation to the eye. For many who had once comprehended the Tao, that change had been a bitter revelation when the horrors first invaded. A mournful wail echoed through the heavens as the eye focused its red light on a city. The column of light enwrapped it like a pillar of sky, and the city's aura surged, transforming into a towering, contorted world life form that knelt and bowed. Gasps swept the ranks of distant observers. God King Yangqiang's expression hardened. The Eye of Darkness is not merely a monster, it marks a shift in the heavenly Tao, she murmured. Dian watched the royal family's God Kings group together, their presences dominating the limited space. They would allocate a sliver of the spoils to the occasional guest God King, but the core belonged to them. He understood their caution. Anyone who obtained a quota here could upset the balance. That was why they suspected Luo Feng. "This place is our territory," someone declared. It is said that powerhouses at the God King Ultimate Realm might have the chance to completely kill those mind world life forms, another offered. The more cultivators who pushed into higher realms and learned the will techniques in the treasury, the more the balance shifted. Dion glanced at an old man in loose white robes nearby. There were techniques here that rivaled the Great Destruction Refining Heart method within the Li Yuan art. Power paired with a cultivator's understanding of a particular great Tao could be devastating. But such inheritances were rare, and their owners jealously guarded them. A mental probe touched Dion like a whisper. The rule was clear. Quotas were regulated by the ancestor. If Luo Feng had overstepped, he would be punished. If Luo Feng made a mistake, the thought said, he will be expelled from the limited space, stripped of his opportunity, and severely disciplined. A Chaos Realm guest should not be here. Dion made no reply. He understood the unspoken threat. He turned and took to the air. If trouble came, better to be mobile. In the rear base, a cultivator who had long studied Tao movement intoned with a shake of his head. The Eye of Darkness embodies the heavenly Tao now. The Tao has decreed that there will always be a world-ending horror. If one falls, another will rise. Struggle or not, nothing changes. God King Yangcheng's cold eyes flicked to Luo Feng. What he said may be true. Luo Feng is reckless. He does not serve the royal family loyally. He helps outsiders too readily. The limited space treasury's inheritances, especially those oriented around will, had been left by Yuan or his friends. Many of them were powerful enough that now, as God Kings reached higher levels, the techniques they discovered could close the gap with Li Yuan art. Dian thought about how much had to change for one of those relics to alter the fate of a world. For the moment, the eye had receded. The pale sunlight, filtered through the dismantled shadow, returned after a long time, bathing the land in a cool clarity. Under that light, the ruined territories seemed to breathe again. Hope and fear warred in equal measure. God King Wuxiu, smiling with the studied politeness of court, repeated his question to Dian one more time, but Dian had already withdrawn. The royal family's suspicions would not be laid to rest easily. They would investigate how he had entered, and if necessary, answer the slight with the full weight of the Yanfeng throne. The limited space, this treasure land left by Yuan, had proven both boon and snare. It offered paths to greater strength, but it demanded loyalty, discipline, and obedience to its old rules. As the sky cleared and the world steadied, the ancient rivalries of the Yanfeng royal family resumed their slow, cold calculus, and somewhere the Eye of Darkness watched, and the heavenly Tao waited. Chapter 169. Focus on Yandu, capital of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom. This city had once been the seat of the kingdom's first emperor, Diyan, and here stood the Yanqiang Palace. Diyan and Yangqiang had both been god kings in the earliest days of the imperial family. Their paths had been similar, but Yangqiang had become stuck at the god king's second realm and could not advance further. Deep inside the Yangqiang Palace, an inner world had been laid open. It was a savage place. Countless volcanoes, screaming black winds, and rivers of magma flung into the sky. From that world continent, a colossal figure stirred, a humanoid beast with smoking volcanic spines along its back. Black gusts blasted from its nostrils. A single golden eye burned with a terrible light. Across the membrane of that inner world, shifting secret patterns flowed like living script, invisible energies washing again and again over the beast's massive form. A Chaos Realm guest elder, worthy of entering infinite space? The beast snarled. Fury writhed in its golden eye. Emperor Consort! The name brought a calm voice in reply. The green-robed Emperor Consort, Xingje, had been watching the affair remotely. In the Yanfeng ancient kingdom, those who cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline were said to be difficult to control inside their inner worlds. The taint could overwhelm reason. Luo had paid close attention to those dangers. He humiliated me then, Yancheng spat. He still owes the clan so much. You mean Luo Feng? Xingje asked quietly. He borrowed huge sums to try to reach the emperor level and failed. He couldn't repay the debt, and he begged and begged for more. He's taken a lot, but the guest elder system works by merit. Luo Feng and those other guest elders exchange according to what they can achieve. The imperial family is not sole owner of every resource. Luo's presence flickered out of view. In infinite space, a few who had opened new cultivation paths still used avatars, and everyone here wielded bodies at God King level. To attain a truly superior mortal body, one had to open a path. No one yet had been seen to reach the God King's 7th realm. Ha, Yangcheng hissed. Ask him for guidance? Even if I'm imprisoned forever, sent back into oblivion, I will not live under his humiliation again. He was weak then, Xingje observed. But Dichu's spiritual will is formidable. If your own spiritual clarity could catch up to even 2 or 3/10 of Dichu's, you could have held that pollution at bay and become a new emperor. Yancheng raged on. He used our status as guest elders to take part in the border disputes, to humiliate the Thunder Ancient country, and to force it into concessions. He took advantage of being a guest elder. Those spots should belong to the imperial family. At the very least, give me more rewards. Xingji's face remained composed. He had placed an array over Yancheng's inner world, a lattice of countless shifting patterns designed to suppress the Hunyuan taint. I have helped you build this world, he said. I've given you treasures and resources and tried to keep your mind clear. I do not question that your life matters to this imperial household. But the guest elder system was established by the ancestor. It is not for us to pick and choose who benefits. The ancestor? Yanqiang barked. The ancestor has no concept of us, no interest in our petty squabbles. He made me his servant, his attendant, his doorman. How could I bear it? You were favored at birth, Xingje replied. Even world beasts, born with blessing, can sometimes reach the God King ultimate realm by devouring and destroying. But special favor catches the eye only for a while. The brilliant ones are filtered out. Luo Feng fought at the border 100 epochs ago. He contended for rare heaven and earth treasures and forced the Thunder Ancient country to give him a spot in infinite space in exchange for staying out of the disputes. He did this by his own effort. The massive beast grew silent for a moment, the volcanic ridges along its back trembling. Xingje continued without malice. If you want to improve, you should ask Dichu for instruction. In this reincarnation era of the primordial origin continent, none surpass Dichu in spiritual will. Seeking his guidance is no shame. Anger and impatience flared. I asked before. He humiliated me, made me grovel, made me subservient. How can I return to that? You are being affected more and more by the Hunyuan bloodline, Xingje said firmly. I'm using an array to help you suppress the pollution. Without it, you would have lost control long ago. Calm yourself, refine your heart. With sufficient spiritual clarity, you could break this rot. Across the network of arrays, Xingje could reflect and deduce traces of the wider primordial origin continent. He had long used such lattices to peek into distant events. The more traces reflected, the clearer the deduction. He watched the patterns shift, and a certain thread tightened in his mind. Luo is remarkable, Xingje murmured to himself. He can approach the Emperor threshold using arrays. He has resources I do not. Compared to him, I am still lacking. One of the secret patterns crystallized into a scene. God King Wuxiang had shouted Luo Feng's name in the hall, and then Wuxiang had disappeared from infinite space. The disappearance tied back to Luo Feng. The mist envoy of Shadow Sky World had died, and the cause of that death was also tied to Luo Feng. Small, scattered clues like these were everywhere in infinite space. Ancient existences that were hard to find in the outer world were often present here. Many in the imperial family still feel shortchanged by the ancestors' favor, Xingje said. They begrudge even the meager allowances given to guest elders and want to take those away. They do not understand what the ancestor cares for. Yangcheng's fury took a new tack. We are the imperial family. We have countless strong ones. We deserve the best resources of the primordial origin continent. Allowing guest elders to enter treasure lands with such freedom, that is folly. When they find inheritances, they should obey our commands. You misunderstand the system, Xingje answered. The guest elder arrangement was created by the ancestor to ensure fairness and to discover talent in unexpected places. Your life and death are no more important in the ancestor's eyes than those of a guest elder. Bow your head if you must grow. For a long moment, the erased light flowed over Yangqiang's inner world, and the volcanic winds subsided to a restless sigh. Luohe's name hung between the two of them like a bitter coin. What can there really be between clansmen who have been separated by dozens of reincarnation eras? Luohe said quietly, as if to himself. The answer was the same as it always had been. Time frays blood. Favor changes. Only clarity of spirit and the steady cultivation of one's own path could finally cut through the old debts and humiliation. Inside Shangji City, everything had gone gray. Countless beings moved like puppets, their life auras drained away. The woman in green was the only splash of color in the world. She walked through the city, watching everything closely. Even though I had gathered much intelligence about Luohe, seeing it with my own eyes makes it much clearer, she murmured. She approached the town defender's mansion and paused, surprised. Luohe's life aura is extraordinarily well concealed. I couldn't detect any trace of his past presence as I passed through. A Chaos Realm transcendent, yet his concealment outstrips many God King First realms, she praised. The origin continent allowed some glimpses into the past, but those insights were easier to obtain for ordinary people. The stronger the individual, the harder it became. Even so, she could perceive most God King First realms. The surrounding space-time twisted. In an instant, she stepped back from that muted vision into the present. Color returned to the world and life thrummed again. This timeline, the one that mattered, was the true timeline in which all those living beings existed. Outside the town defender's mansion she stood, the only bright figure in a normal, bustling scene. Luohe, great saint. Her voice carried naturally into the mansion, though the guards at the gate could not see the woman who addressed them. Inside the mansion, Luo Feng was drinking and chatting with Morosa. Morosa had just finished digesting a God King corpse and felt particularly pleased with himself. When the voice reached them, both straightened. Only now did they become aware that someone stood outside. Morosa's expression tightened. He transmitted mentally, "Master, I can sense a vast area around Shangji City. Any powerful presence approaching would be obvious, yet I didn't notice her at all." Luo Feng recognized her. "She's Empress Feng Du of the East Extremity Domain," he said. "Her power should be close to a peak world beast, right?" "Almost," Morosa replied. "You retreat first. I'll go meet her," Luo Feng said. He walked to the mansion entrance. Even the guards could not see him as he passed. The woman in green seemed to stand outside the world itself, present and at the same time above it. "Luo greets Empress Feng Du," Luo Feng bowed slightly. "To create your own secret technique and become the absolute #1 in the Chaos Realm, truly extraordinary," Empress Feng Du said with a smile. "The origin continent hasn't seen such a formidable junior in a long time." Luo Feng smiled and minimized his praise. "No matter how formidable, I am still only a Chaos Realm." "Won't you invite me in?" she asked. Luo Feng immediately stepped aside to lead her inside. Given her status and friendliness, he returned her courtesy. In a reception pavilion within the town defender's mansion, they sat opposite each other, and Luo Feng personally poured her wine. Empress Feng Du belonged to the natives of the East Extremity Domain, one of the original powers of the origin continent, and her reputation was fearsome. In the earliest days of the origin continent, the natives dominated, and they had produced 12 figures who rose quickly to the rank of God King. Those 12 God Emperors were, by current standards, God Kings who had trained to unusual heights early on. Over time, the native territories had been compressed to the East Extremity Domain, but those 12 whose talents had matured early were now among the God King's second realms. Among them, Empress Feng Du's strength was the most inscrutable. Few God King second realms anywhere could truly contend with emperors and monarchs. But she was one of the exceptions. Empress Feng Du has cultivated both the world origin and the time origin great paths to the God King second realm. Luo Feng thought. Her extraordinary talent meant she likely had access to top-level inheritances and protections from a mysterious ancestral power backing the Eastern natives. Even if Luo Feng one day attained the God King realm, the gap between them would remain vast. For now, he was only a chaos realm, but that she treated him with such warmth surprised him. Luo He, Empress Feng Du said, gazing at him, I came to invite you to join a force I founded, Reincarnation Little Building. Luo Feng had heard of it. Reincarnation Little Building was small compared to groups like Two World Palace. Every member had been personally selected and invited by Empress Feng Du, so its ranks were few but influential. Reincarnation Little Building? He echoed. Although I founded it, all members are equals, she explained. The official members are few, but each one is extraordinary. Am I qualified? Luo Feng asked. If he joined, he would likely be one of the weakest. Don't underestimate yourself, Empress Feng Du told him. In the entire origin continent, you are a truly remarkable cultivator. That praise made Luo Feng's heart quicken. He knew his own uniqueness. He had enslaved a world beast, and, with a world beast at the God King ultimate realm, he could one day lead a powerful force. He was a perfect divine body, unprecedented on the origin continent, and his small universe surpassed that of other cultivators. His mastery of the Li Yuan techniques was important but not unique. Many bore Yuan's legacy. Still, he had always hidden his strengths. Empress Feng Du's estimation of him was both flattering and unnerving. But talent alone is not enough, she continued. You need resources, top-tier inheritances, and rare treasures to support your cultivation. Luo Feng nodded. He knew well how much the 8 Tribulation life form, the cutting 72/'s secret technique, and the rare inheritances in infinite space had helped him. The inheritances you've been exposed to so far are only God King First Realm inheritances, she said. As you advance, the truly precious inheritances become much more restricted. Some rare treasures and powerful Han Yuan bloodlines are harder to obtain. Securing Yuan's complete inheritance will be exceptionally difficult. A weapon that transcends the God King realm can be enough to ignite a war between the two great ancient kingdoms. She leaned forward. Do you really think you can obtain those simply because you have high talent? For some marginal resources left by Yuan, you might still be able to compete. But for the truly valuable legacies, in the end you may not even have qualification to contend. Luo Feng fell silent. His master Di Chu had told him much the same. Have you heard of Lihei God King? Empress Feng Du asked. Luo Feng paused. No, he admitted. She smiled slightly. Guilds like Yanfeng and the Thunder Merchant Guild will never spread such intelligence. They hide it whenever possible. Lihei God King fully integrated into the Yanfeng ancient kingdom and cultivated to the God King's second realm. He served the empire faithfully, content even though the imperial family received far more resources. He had 1 wife, 3 sons, and 2 daughters. He kept to himself, raised his children, and focused on cultivation, believing that destiny rewarded such dedication. But his talent was exceptional. He refined a powerful secret treasure left by Yuan on the origin continent, a weapon beyond the God King realm. With it, a God King's second realm like him could contend with emperors and monarchs. Her expression hardened. He used that weapon once on a mission for the Yanfeng ancient kingdom. Only once. 3 emperors attacked him at the same time, she said. They demanded the secret treasure, threatening to slaughter his wife, children, and clan if he resisted. He was used to yielding. He gave it up. Luo Feng's hands tightened around his cup. When he handed it over, the 3 emperors acted, Empress Feng Du said softly. They slaughtered his wife, his children, his clan, every living thing in the city. Lihei God King was killed as well. His master, Emperor Xuan, only learned of it afterward. It was too late. Fortunately, she added, Li God King was strong enough to use a reincarnation secret technique before he was slain. He reincarnated, but with the Emperor's attack, none of his family had time to reincarnate. After his reincarnation, he calls himself Guishu Emperor. Empress Feng Du watched Luo Feng for his reaction. Luo Feng's eyes widened. Guishu Emperor, so that was him. Guishu styled himself an emperor, yet remained slightly weaker than a true emperor. He bore a deep blood feud with Yanfeng's imperial family and had waged a long campaign against them. Several god kings of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom had died at Guishu's hands. Guishu Emperor is a member of Reincarnation Little Building, Empress Fengdu said. I founded this group so that as companions, we can support one another and transcend the cycles of reincarnation. She regarded Luo Feng steadily. I think you have the qualifications to become an official member. At present, Reincarnation Little Building has 8 members, she said. You are the 9th person I wish to take an interest in, and the only Chaos Realm I have invited so far. Chapter 171, 9 members of the Reincarnation Little Building. Luo Feng smiled at the woman in green. Deputy Palace Master Feng Du flatters me. The Reincarnation Little Building is famous throughout the origin continent. Its members must be far stronger than I am. Feng Du nodded. Among the 8 current members, 1 is invincible at the God King First Realm, and the other 7 are God King Second Realm, she admitted. There's a large gap between you and them. Then are you willing to join? She asked, studying him. You should be confident. You'll soon become invincible in the God King First Realm. Luo Feng didn't answer right away. He thought for a moment and then asked, Deputy Palace Master Feng Du, what are the rules of the Reincarnation Little Building? Feng Du explained, I only founded the organization. All members inside are absolutely equal and know one another's identities. If someone plans an operation, they may invite others to join, but joining is voluntary. No one can force members to be friendly or hostile to each other. She continued, but the Reincarnation Little Building has 2 core rules. First, never reveal the identities of other members. Second, if a member initiates an operation, participants must not betray it, and those who refuse to participate must not expose the operation. That is all. Once you join, you must follow these rules. Violation is a grave karmic offense and will make you an enemy of every other member. Luo Feng understood. Don't reveal identities. Don't betray. Simple enough. If those are the only 2 rules, I'm willing to join, he said. Beyond the rules, the little building's reputation across the origin continent and Fengdu's own standing, her good name and the friendly ties she enjoyed with the 2 great ancient kingdoms, made his decision easy. His master Zuo Shanke had also advised that, after becoming a god king, he would naturally join some force. Welcome, Feng Du said with a bright smile. She snapped her fingers and produced a token. This token lets a wisp of your consciousness enter the Reincarnation Little Building. I'll gather the other companions to welcome you. Luo Feng accepted the token. This token also lets you contact the other 8 members, she added. He could feel that, apart from entering the pavilion-like world of the Reincarnation Little Building, the token's only external function was to link him to those 8 companions. As the token linked out, responses began to ripple across diverse realms. In one world, a towering figure rose between heaven and earth, a body so vast it occupied almost a third of the land. Black winds gnawed at its skin. Its bluish-black flesh radiated a terrifying aura. Only 2 elderly attendants stood beside it. The colossal being opened his dark yellow eyes in surprise. Feng Du invited a new member? The Reincarnation Little Building has a new addition? Come, let us drink, another voice called. In a grand hall somewhere else, a young man relaxed over wine, surrounded by friends. A burly man with a scaly tail and sharp horns advised him seriously, Second brother, your talent is high. You should cultivate more. If you keep indulging, calamity will catch up to you. The wine-loving youth shrugged. Cultivation? Big brother, what is the point? The burly man pressed on about power and fate. The drunken youth laughed. I don't care about dominating others. Only my own fate matters. What I see, hear, and feel is all I'll have. Enjoying a good drink is enough. The burly man fell silent. The young drunk's expression suddenly shifted to interest. Oh? Feng Du invited a new member? I wonder who it is. He had chosen reincarnation to sever previous karmic ties and claim greater freedom, but he still trusted the Reincarnation Little Building and remained a member. The members had never betrayed him. Using his token, he sent his thought into the little building. Far from the continent, near the edge of the universe sea, a vast poisonous mist spread across the water. At its center lurked a colossal creature with countless claws and a single golden eye. It, too, sent a thought into the Reincarnation Little Building. Feng Du chose a new member. She must have picked someone remarkable. One by one, the members responded and gathered. Luo Feng used his token for the first time and sent his consciousness into the pavilion-like illusion that housed the little building. Inside the pavilion, 8 figures were already seated. He was the last to arrive. Luo He is here, Feng Du said, smiling. The others turned their curious, friendly gazes to him. Luo Feng recognized them at a glance and felt a quiet surprise. No one was cloaked or hidden. Their identities were plain. No wonder the little building's reputation rivaled large forces like the Two-World Palace. In our reincarnation little building, all members are equal. Call us by our names, Feng Du said. Luo He, you are our 9th member. A burly figure raised his cup with a warm smile. Guishu Emperor. Luo He, number 1 in the Chaos realm, your name has long been heard. For Feng Du to invite you, you must be even more impressive than rumors say. A massive, jovial man chuckled and bowed. Lord Da Zizai, the Lord of Myriad Worlds' personal disciple. His smile carried a natural charm that made others comfortable. A young man who introduced himself as Wu Xin greeted Luo Feng next. Wu Xin had once been an honored guest of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom. He had avoided joining any one power, but after rising to God King's 2nd realm, had drawn the covetous attention of Yanfeng for the resources he possessed. Repeated sieges ended with his death, and so he had reincarnated to escape karmic tracing. If I hadn't died, Yanfeng wouldn't have stopped, Wu Xin said. I had to reincarnate so they couldn't follow me through karma. Right now, you're only at Chaos Realm and have nothing to tempt them. When you're strong enough, you'll see how ugly the faces of some Yanfeng emperors can be. Luo Feng offered a polite smile. He appreciated the warning, but his ties to Yanfeng were complicated. He owed gratitude to people like Emperor Chu Yu and his master Di Chu, and wasn't ready to break those bonds because a few cultivators made trouble. A white-robed man nodded and smiled. The Tiantu King, once a personal disciple of an ancestor of Yanfeng and also a God King's 2nd realm. Luo Feng remembered how Tiantu King's pet had supplied him with the first set of 3-in-1 form materials. He greeted the members simply and respectfully. Of the present 8, Feng Du hailed from the East Extremity domain. Lord Da Zizai represented the Myriad Worlds country. Guishu Emperor, Wu Xin, and Tiantu King all had ties to Yanfeng ancient kingdom. Yuntian God King, an invincible God King 1st realm, had once been an honored guest of the Thunder ancient country. After cultivating the Hunyuan bloodline, she had lost control and killed a God King of Thunder ancient country. Since then, she had been forced to flee. The Blackfire Demon Lord, a God King's 2nd realm, and also an honored guest of Thunder ancient country, had fallen out with his home nation in a bid for monarch-level resources. Though Thunder ancient country still valued him, he had never secured the resources and thus became estranged. Both of them had reputations that made them notable across the origin continent. Luo Feng looked finally at the last burly man, who raised his cup with a chuckle. Earth God King, Feng Du announced. The Earth God King had come up from obscurity, a reclusive God King who had once been an honored guest of Thunder ancient country. His talent was dazzling. He had obtained multiple sets of resources left behind by Yuan, and the Thunder ancient country schemed against him. Under the combined pressure of several monarchs, he had still escaped. Though a God King's 2nd realm, his strength was such that he could cross realms and stand against the monarchs of Thunder ancient country. Luo Feng thought inwardly, there are actually 2 members here, comparable to the emperor level. No wonder the little building is so renowned. The small welcome conversation was a chance to get acquainted. Except for the somewhat taciturn Earth God King, the others chatted warmly with Luo Feng. He realized, too, that in strength he was currently the weakest member. Even if the little building launched operations, it wouldn't be appropriate to bring him along yet. He would have to grow stronger. Perhaps only after fully becoming a God King would he be fit to take part in their missions. Chapter 172, Chaos Eternal Light. Brother Luo Feng. The enormous, jovial Lord Dazizai chuckled. When you take part in the Reincarnation Little Building's operations in the future, remember to conceal your identity. Concealing one's aura and obscuring karmic traces wasn't difficult for the other members of the Reincarnation Little Building. Luo Feng had not yet reached God King, so he was relatively weak at hiding his karma. With your physical achievements, hiding yourself shouldn't be hard, Lord Dazizai continued. But when you fight, don't use your signature techniques. Some of your moves might be unique on the origin continent. Once they're seen, people will guess who you are. If your identity is guessed, you won't have peace, Lord Dazizai sighed. The Reincarnation Little Building has acted many times against major powers and seized plenty of resources. In our Reincarnation Little Building, only Guaishu and I have ever revealed ourselves, Wuxin God King added from the side. After I exposed my identity, the God Kings of the Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, knowing I'd obtained many rare treasures, besieged me repeatedly. I had no choice but to reincarnate. I don't care, Guishu Emperor said indifferently. I have no attachments. What does it matter if my identity is exposed? His wife, children, even his clansmen, none remained. He felt nothing. I do have attachments. Wuxin sighed. Only by reincarnating can I protect them better. Luo Feng listened. He was still relatively weak and couldn't participate in the biggest struggles on the origin continent, but he could learn from their experiences. The welcoming gathering in Xiangji City eventually dispersed. Inside a quiet pavilion, Luo Feng sat alone as that wisp of borrowed consciousness returned to its owner. He felt pleased. The Reincarnation Little Building has a good internal atmosphere, he thought. Even as the weakest, everyone's warm and close. Even so, he knew Yuntian God King's reputation. Though she was the only God King First Realm in the Reincarnation Little Building, she was terrifying in her own right. I heard Yuntian reach the limit of God King First Realm by her own efforts, someone had told him. Unable to advance, she switched to cultivating the Hunyuan bloodline. She was so compatible with it that she unearthed far too much of its potential. Her power shot up, but the massive will hidden in the Hunyuan bloodline impacted her consciousness. Losing control, she killed an imperial god king of the Thunder Ancient Country outright, no revival possible. Yuntian's story was famous. If she had merely killed one true body, but the victim could cultivate back with compensation, the matter could be smoothed over. But the Hunyuan bloodline's poison targeted the soul itself. It could not be revived through a vessel. Even a God King Second Realm would suffer severe losses facing her, Luo Feng thought. In poison use, she ranks among the top 3 on the entire origin continent. In coordinated actions, her poison could cripple multiple God King Second Realm at once, an enormous advantage. Not to mention the other 7 members of the little building. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on a dark green boulder within his treasured land, infinite space, and cultivated. Though both the Two-World Palace and the Reincarnation Little Building had invited him while he was still a Chaos Realm, an early invitation, he understood the logic. Once he reached God King and showed his strength, many more forces would beckon. For now, he couldn't join their large-scale struggles. The Two-World Palace offers great opportunities, he mused, but everything they do is coveted by outside forces. That alone makes me wary. I'll just cultivate in peace. From the accounts of elders, the God Kings of the 2 great ancient kingdoms were ruthless, yet their primary targets were God King Second Realm, resources coveted by those ranks. God King First Realm were too inconsequential. The 2 great ancient kingdoms only made bold moves against those who threatened their interests. If one reached God King Ultimate Realm, those powers would treat them cautiously. The Lord of Myriad Worlds and the Tianmu Country Realm Beast were both at the God King Ultimate Realm level, and the ancestor of the East Extremity domain was at least as high. These first-rate forces commanded vast territories and lived comfortably. In the end, strength determines everything, Luo Feng thought, and returned to cultivation. The effects of the Hunyuan Crystal Spirit Fruit and the Clear Heart Spirit Liquid still lingered. Half an epoch remained, and Luo Feng took advantage of it. He relaxed and concentrated on the Life and Destruction Great Path. Most of his energy was devoted to the Life Origin Great Path and the Destruction Origin Great Path, with only a sliver on the fused Life and Destruction Great Path. He knew the first 2 had complete systems, multiple unique inheritances, and were the foundation for the fused path. The more solid the foundation, the further the fusion could go. He realized why many God Kings focused on a single great path: efficiency. When one cultivated along the path that suited them best, comprehension came far faster. Luo Feng's experience with several God King level secret techniques gave him a deep foundation to draw on. He began examining the first volume of the secret technique of cutting 72 slashes, which had been conceived from the sky-splitting lineage and the dark sky lineage. Its intent had been to condense with the dark sky lineage and be applied through the sky-splitting lineage, even to fuse the two. But the technique had glaring flaws. Its power is great, but what follows it is weak, Luo Feng thought. If the saber light contained source of life and integrated life spirituality, its power would be endless and tenacious. Then the dark sky lineage would condense it, and the sky-splitting lineage would wield it. He experimented mentally and found that when the saber light contained source of life and life spirituality, its foundation became too profound. The dark sky and sky-splitting lineages couldn't truly condense and control it. At that moment, memories of Morosa's inner realm rules flashed in his mind. He tried fusing it into the Huntian lineage to form a small realm, using that realm as a cradle to help the dark sky and sky-splitting lineages fully condense the saber light. With the accumulated experience of hundreds of epochs and the 6 major branches of life and the 6 of destruction already at chaos peak, the lingering effects of the spirit fruit and spirit liquid brought flashes of insight. Luo Feng was in an exceptionally receptive state. Through repeated trials, a new secret technique gradually took shape. He integrated 2 branches of life, life origin and life spirituality, and 3 branches of destruction, dark sky lineage, sky-splitting lineage, and Huntian lineage. As the 5 branches merged, the new saber technique improved. There were many setbacks, but Luo Feng solved them one by one. Finally, it's done. After more than 10 million days by origin continent time immersed in the work, he perfected the technique. With a thought, he opened a dark primordial origin within his body. He had extensive experience opening worlds. Using Huntian as the foundation was simple. A torrent of energy poured into the dark primordial origin, forming wisps of saber light. They contained source of life and life spirituality, gathering and condensing. Countless saber lights surged in. Luo Feng's energy reserves in infinite space dropped by a third before the dark primordial origin felt full. Inside, an incredibly condensed saber light had been nurtured. Just sensing it made him thrill, endless sharpness and tenacity. Even without a master to control it, it would remain potent for eons. If its power were consumed, it could naturally recover. It felt like the source of life itself, filled with inexhaustible energy. Even this single saber light should be at the extremely strong level of God King First Realm, Luo Feng marveled. Is the fusion of great paths this terrifyingly powerful? This was only the beginning of the technique. He still had to fully master the 5 branches and integrate them completely into the art to reach its peak. The complete fusion of just 2 great path branches is already God King's second realm, he noted. The upper limit of this technique is the complete fusion of 5 branches, so its power at inception being this great is normal. He named the technique, this primordial origin nurtured saber light, Hun Dun Immortal Light. With my spiritual will, I should be able to control more than 10 Hun Dun Immortal Lights simultaneously, he calculated. More than 10 of them would be enough to match his physical strength. Physical combat had always been Luo Feng's strongest method in the outside world. By relying on the perfect divine body's unique formless and faceless trait and pursuing transformation, he had achieved extraordinary power. That ability felt like a shortcut granted by supreme rule, and Luo Feng had always been uneasy about shortcuts. But this time, there was no shortcut. This technique, formed by fusing 5 great path branches, rivaled the transformation method itself. It seems I'm quite formidable, even without formless and faceless, he thought with satisfaction. Chapter 173, Luo Feng and the God King Po, Lu. This Hun Dun Immortal Light secret technique is perfect for concealing my identity and operating unseen, Luo Feng thought. Powerful figures on Origin Continent often hid themselves when doing things that might anger great powers. From the outside, Hun Dun Immortal Light looked like an unstoppable blade of light. In combat, Luo Feng would never release a blade light for an opponent to study. Condensed to its extreme, the light allowed no probing, only a fleeting impression. Less experienced observers might guess, is it a material origin great path technique? or a boundless origin great path technique. A few might sense aspects of the destruction origin great path, but on origin continent the destruction path was common. Many god kings cultivated it. The break is over. Now to focus on the 10 directions world form, Luo Feng continued. Life and destruction were the foundation of the creation and destruction great path. The firmer that foundation, the stronger the integrated creation and destruction great path would become. On the border of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, in Xiangjie City, a holy-looking figure in white walked to the town defender's mansion. His gender was hard to tell from his appearance. He paused at the gate, invisible to the guards, until he spoke. His voice reached Luo Feng through karma. "Luo He, great saint," the man said. Luo Feng had sensed him upon entering the city. If Polu God King hadn't visited, Luo Feng would have pretended not to notice. Countless people came and went every day. Since he had come, Luo Feng went to the gate to receive him personally. The guards suddenly saw a radiant man in white and were mesmerized. "Polu God King, please come in," Luo Feng said. Polu God King smiled slightly and entered. In the reception pavilion, they sat facing each other. Facing Polu God King, Luo Feng felt no pressure. Polu was a direct disciple of Di Qing and an invincible presence at the God King First Realm. Di Qing, the most transcendent among the 13 emperors of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, had 15 direct disciples, 6 God Kings, 8 chaotic realm transcendents, and 1 primal chaos peak. Among those 6 God Kings were some of the continent's strongest. Polu had risen by cultivating the Hunyuan bloodline and reached God King First Realm invincible strength. Luo Feng believed that with his current full strength, he could already rival the God King First Realm limit. As a Chaos Realm cultivator with such strength, he felt no intimidation facing Polu. Luo He, great saint, were both direct disciples of an emperor and guest elders of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, Polu said with a smile. Our situations are similar. Guest elders should stay in contact and help one another. That makes the path of cultivation smoother. That makes sense, Luo Feng agreed. Polu was famous for his social skill. Among Di Qing's disciples, he had the broadest connections across Origin Continent. Notably, he had even become a disciple of the Lord of Myriad Worlds while remaining Di Qing's student, an unprecedented position and a sign of his influence. I founded a mutual aid organization called the Heavenly Heart Alliance, Polu continued. There are no strict rules, just a way for God Kings to connect. We mainly invite God King First Realm cultivators. So far, we have over 100 members, and 3 early members have even broken through to God King's Second Realm. Our members come from the 2 great ancient kingdoms, the 3 first-rate powers, and many other kingdoms, he added with a smile. I've heard of the Heavenly Heart Alliance, Luo Feng said. His master Zuo Shank had once been part of it when Polu was already established. The alliance was simply a platform for God Kings to network. It wasn't a power in itself. Polu's position, disciple of both Di Qing and the Lord of Myriad Worlds, made him a hegemon-level figure and gave him tremendous influence. Would you be willing to join? Polu asked. Of course, Luo Feng nodded. He had already joined the Reincarnation little building. Joining another network wouldn't hurt. Polu handed him a wooden token. This is the Heavenly Heart token. After you join, I expect many God Kings will want to contact you. Luo Feng accepted it with a smile. I won't keep you long, Polu said, standing. Luo Feng personally saw him out. As they passed through the mansion, servants bowed with great respect. They came upon Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhang Yunge. This is Polu God King, Luo Feng introduced. Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhang Yunge were visibly moved. Their sources were well informed, and they knew Polu's prestige. Greetings, Polu God King, they said respectfully. Is this Mo Yu Qingyan, Luo He great saint's sole disciple? Polu asked, then noticed Zhang Yunje beside him. Luo Feng explained, this is my disciple Qingyan, and beside him is his wife Yunge. Yunge? Polu said, eyes lighting up. I think I've seen you before. You have, Zhang Yunge said, excited. God King has given public lectures in Polu City many times, and I went 3 times to listen. Your guidance helped me a lot. Luo Feng listened. Polu was generous with his help to other God Kings and often gave public lectures to lower-level cultivators on topics like comprehending Chaos laws. Even shallow teachings from a hegemon-level figure were priceless. Many eternal true gods traveled to Polu City to attend. Ha ha! Cultivation is hard. I only offer a little guidance, Po Lu demurred. A few days later, on the day of Po Lu's lecture, eternal true gods gathered in Po Lu City's square from all directions. Millions watched the high platform with eager eyes. Over 1 million in attendance was already modest, given the long, dangerous journeys many had to make. Po Lu God King's lecture is extraordinary, Mo Yu Qingyan admitted after listening. Po Lu's explanations were even more detailed than those of Mo Yu Qingyan's second master. Granted, Po Lu lectured for only a day, while Morosa's guidance could be longer and personalized. Still, both Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhang Yunge felt they'd gained insight. Zhang Yunge, especially, was thrilled. If I could often get guidance from a god king, I might have hope of reaching the chaos realm, she said. When the crowd dispersed, a servant came to summon the two. Mo Yu Qingyan, Zhang Yunge, the god king requests your presence. They followed him up Po Lu Mountain to a secluded spot where Po Lu sat leisurely. Greetings, God King, they bowed. How is your master? Po Lu asked Mo Yu Qingyan. My master is well, as always devoted to cultivation, Mo Yu replied. Luo Great Saint has a pure heart. His future will surely exceed mine, Po Lu praised, then turned to the two. You came all this way. Show me some of your techniques. They demonstrated one by one while Po Lu guided them. Both felt they learned much. Your talents are only average, Po Lu said candidly. You must work harder and be more focused if you hope to break through to the Chaos realm. Understood, they replied. Since Mo Yu Qingyan has Luo Great Saint as his master, I'm less worried about him. Zhang Yunjie, if you're willing, you can become my disciple, Po Lu offered. He already had over 300 direct disciples. Zhang Yunge knelt immediately, overwhelmed with joy. Within her clan, she'd never met a god king ancestor. Mo Yu Qingyan was happy for her. Having a god king as a master gave his wife a real path forward. Po Lu smiled. As my disciple, you'll be given a residence on the mountain. You and your husband can live here or return to Shangji City as you wish. A servant then escorted them away. Watching them go, Po Lu's longtime Chaos Realm attendant asked privately, Master, Yunge's talent is average. Why accept her as a disciple? Nothing is absolute, Po Lu replied. If she focuses, a miracle might happen. Also, accepting her because of Luo Great Saint forms some karma. Luo Great Saint? The old servant objected. He is only a chaotic realm transcendent. He's a chaotic realm transcendent who, through self-created secret techniques, can rival the invincible power of a god king first realm, Po Lu said. Once he becomes a god king, he'll quickly reach god king first realm invincible. There are probably only about 5 on the entire origin continent who can reach that strength without outside help. Luo will soon be one of them. He will be much stronger than me in the future. The path of cultivation is perilous. Even I could fall without caution. Making friends mitigates risk, especially powerful friends, Po Lu added and left. The old servant followed. Back in Shangji City, Mo Yu Qingyan sent word. Master, Po Lu God King has accepted Yunge as his disciple. Luo Feng received the news and replied, That's a good thing. While Luo Feng was deep in cultivation, Origin Ancestor suddenly contacted him. Origin Ancestor, Luo Feng said, knowing the old man's temperament, he would not interrupt someone's cultivation unless it was important. He went to see him at once. Luo Feng. Origin Ancestor sat in the pavilion. When he saw Luo Feng, he smiled and poured wine. Come, drink. You're in a good mood? Luo Feng asked. He could tell something had changed. Ha ha ha! Finally grasped the foundation of the Great Path. Of course I'm happy, Origin Ancestor said. You comprehended chaos laws? Luo Feng was surprised and pleased at once. Origin Ancestor nodded. With the vast resources you gave me and the inheritances taken from the Heart Shadow sect to nourish me, my cultivation went smoothly. Otherwise, it would have taken 10, even 100 times longer. At the time, the spoils from the Heart Shadow sect had seemed enormous, but later Luo Feng received 300 billion cosmic sand from Huangfeng's city lord in one gift, making those earlier resources look small. Still, for an eternal true god to spend resources like that at will was extravagant. Luo Feng remembered how poor he had been at that stage. To reach the Chaos Realm in just over 100 epochs, and by forging your own method, that's impressive, he said. Origin Ancestor, you have every chance of reaching God King. God King is far harder than Chaos Realm, Origin Ancestor laughed. You walk that path one step at a time. I'm still very far from it. Luo Feng knew better. He had reached the Chaos realm in just over 30 epochs, helped by the unique opportunity of confronting the life origin great path directly. For origin ancestor to do it in just over 100 epochs, even with ample inheritances, was still an astonishing pace. You comprehended the astounding virtual universe secret technique at the true God stage and are now the strongest nearby in the primordial universe. Your talent is extraordinary, Luo Feng praised. Origin Ancestor had always shown high potential, but it was only after coming to Origin Continent and receiving abundant resources that he truly began to shine. Luo Feng felt relieved. He could not be the only pillar propping up the human race on Origin Continent. With Origin Ancestor sharing the burden, Luo Feng's own responsibilities would be lighter. You should break through your small universe and transform your divine body as soon as possible, Luo Feng advised. And take this chance to decide which great path suits you best. I'm very interested in the World Origin Great Path, Origin Ancestor said. World? Luo Feng considered. Strictly speaking, Origin Ancestor's specialty was the illusory world. That direction could be extended toward the soul, but the soul path had no clear great path and required self-comprehension. The illusory world could also extend toward the World Origin Great Path. Similarly, the boundless Origin Great Path encompasses many energies, lightning, fire, wind, earth, yet a single element like lightning could form its own lightning Origin Great Path. The starting points might be similar, but the destinations diverge. While I was suppressed in the primordial universe, I observed countless life forms and how all things operate. I'm fascinated by that. The path of the world suits me, Origin Ancestor said. He liked both illusion and reality. There was so much to study along that path. Only the path you truly love and are most curious about can be walked far, Luo Feng agreed. That same day in the primordial universe region, a vast small universe expanded, a second massive small universe in quick succession. Word spread instantly. Origin Ancestor's small universe expanded again? Is his breakthrough that fast? True gods and universe lords from various races drew near, watching the incomprehensibly large small universe swell from afar. The human forces grew even more excited. In the surrounding universe sea, the human race already had the peerless galaxy ancestor. His small universe spanned 1 trillion light-years in diameter, a sight that alone crushed other races' morale. Now Origin Ancestor, second only to Galaxy Ancestor, was also rapidly enlarging his small universe. Teacher is about to break through. Primordial Chaos City Lord watched with joy, then turned to Luo Feng beside him. Luo Feng, when can we go through reincarnation? Primordial Chaos City Lord could have become a void true god long ago, but had been deliberately holding back. Seeing his disciple Luo Feng develop a small universe the size of 1 trillion light-years and watching Origin Ancestor's successive breakthroughs, he felt the urge to move as well. The other side of reincarnation is thick with powerful beings, unfathomable, Luo Feng warned. You should keep cultivating patiently here in the primordial universe region. I estimate you can depart before this reincarnation era ends. One reincarnation era in the primordial universe equaled roughly 10,000 epochs on the Origin Continent side. Luo Feng figured that in that span, he should be able to deal with Heavenly Kun Country Lord. If not himself, he was confident in his ability to protect the human powerhouses who would come to Origin Continent. That's good, Primordial Chaos City Lord said with a smile and nodded. Actually, our cultivation here is slow right now. I know, Luo Feng replied. Cultivating in the primordial universe region is extremely difficult, but the harsher the environment, the more it tempers you. It will pay off in the future. Having adapted to such a severe environment, returning to a place like Origin Continent would make progress far more efficient. Primordial Chaos City Lord concurred. The two of them, along with Origin Ancestor, had been advising human powerhouses to delay reincarnation, showing they were not yet fully confident about what awaited on the other side. Chu Capital, residence of Marquis Chuyu. Marquis Chuyu, Luo Feng transmitted his voice and appeared at the outskirts. Emperor Chuyu looked up and, seeing Luo Feng, smiled. Luo He. Luo Feng stepped down into the residence. It's rare for you to visit me, Emperor Chuyu said in a relaxed tone. With the wealth from the heaven-level task, 100 epochs had passed, and he had long since reached the primal Chaos Realm peak strength. As an infinite divine body, reaching that level was not difficult, only the bottlenecks still lay ahead. With enough strength and a powerful guest elder like Luo He Great Saint, his path had been smooth. Other first-rank marquises of the imperial family wouldn't dare to challenge him. "I have a favor to ask, Marquise Chuyu," Luo Feng said directly. "Oh?" Emperor Chuyu's eyes brightened, hearkening to a request from Luo He. Great Saint normally meant good news. "My fellow clansman Origin has just reached the Chaos Realm," Luo Feng explained. "I want him to have a guest elder slot in Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom." "A guest elder slot?" Emperor Chuyu frowned slightly. "Origin just advanced to Chaos Realm? From the Law lineage?" "From the Law lineage," Luo Feng confirmed. A Chaos Realm from the Law lineage met the bare minimum threshold for becoming a guest elder. He's barely met the lowest threshold and isn't an infinite divine body. Emperor Chuyu shook his head. Any first-rank marquise of the imperial family would be hesitant to use their slot on him. Guest elder slots were highly prized by first-rank marquises. They were chosen carefully as the marquise's most valuable support. "I'm not very familiar with the imperial family's internal affairs, so I came to ask you," Luo Feng said. After Origin reached Chaos Realm, he needed the most suitable inheritance and resources to grow. Luo Feng could try to donate 1 or 2 God-King level inheritances of the World Origin Great Path, but they might not fit Origin perfectly. The best route was to make Origin a guest elder of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, so he could freely draw from the inheritance halls. The 2 great ancient kingdoms' guest elder system was a major advantage for Chaos Realm experts, but slots were scarce and the kingdoms cultivated their own elites. "I only have 2 slots and both are taken," Emperor Chuyu said. "As far as I know, not many other first-rank marquises in Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's imperial family have vacant slots. After the last heaven-level task, the first-rank marquises spent freely. Most of their slots were already promised away." Luo Feng understood. "At least within our Chu lineage, I haven't heard of anyone with a spare slot. Other imperial lineages might have someone. Please check." "The terms are negotiable," Luo Feng added. "Even hundreds of billions of cosmic sand isn't a big issue." "All right, I'll look into it immediately," Emperor Chuyu promised. That very day, he led his personal guards to Yu Capital, ancestral seat of the Emperor Yu lineage. The 2 imperial lineages were on good terms, and their first-rank marquises often interacted. "Chuyu, why come in person? You could have sent a message," a man in purple robes greeted, smiling. "Yu Feng." Emperor Chuyu sat across from him. "I know you still have a guest elder slot." Emperor Yu Feng smiled and nodded. "Yes, I only have 1 guest elder right now. I do have 1 vacant slot. Many want it. Several Chaos Realm experts are eager to swear fealty." "Luo He Great Saint wants the slot," Emperor Chuyu said. "Luo He Great Saint?" Emperor Yu Feng's heart skipped a beat, then eased. "If Luo He Great Saint wants to be my guest elder, I would gladly give him the slot. But he's already your guest elder. He wants it for another Chaos Realm, yes?" Emperor Chuyu nodded. "A newly advanced Chaos Realm from the Law lineage." "A newly advanced Chaos Realm." Emperor Yu Feng shook his head slightly. "Don't worry about who the Chaos Realm is. What matters is that Luo He Great Saint wants the slot. Whatever conditions you set, name them," Emperor Chuyu urged. "You should know Luo He Great Saint will soon become a God King. He'll be a hegemonic force." "What if he becomes a hegemon? How does that help a first-rank marquis of the imperial family?" Emperor Yu Feng asked. "A God King can't directly meddle in our first-rank marquises' rivalries. The conditions, just name them," Emperor Chuyu repeated. "I want a guest elder who will sincerely support me and who is strong enough," Emperor Yu Feng said. "If there's no suitable candidate, I'd rather leave the slot vacant. An empty slot attracts a host of Chaos Realm experts to serve me. Without it, they'll leave." Emperor Chuyu fell silent. "You must understand only 100 epochs have passed since the heaven-level task. No new first-rank marquises have emerged in the imperial family," Emperor Yu Feng continued. "Those marquises didn't even use their slots during the heaven-level task. How would they give them away easily? Each first-rank marquise only has 2 slots in a lifetime. Not every one of them was lucky enough to use a slot on Luo He Great Saint." "Tell me your price," Emperor Chuyu said finally. For a treasure worth 2 million merit points, I'll sell the slot, Emperor Yu Feng replied briskly. Don't say I asked too much. 2 million merit points translated to roughly 600 billion cosmic sand. The price stunned Emperor Chu Yu. He could only stand and stare. It was outrageous. Over the next 10 days, Emperor Chu Yu approached 7 other first-rank marquises of the imperial family to solicit a spare slot. Each one refused. Chaos Realm experts from beyond the 2 great ancient kingdoms might fear the #1 Chaos Realm and the future God King, but first-rank marquises had little to gain. A God King guest elder could neither threaten them nor intervene in their internal struggles. Without sufficient incentive, they would not part with a slot. Hundreds of billions of cosmic sand might once have been blistering wealth, but after the heaven-level task, the first-rank marquises had all grown rich. Without an irresistible offer, they would not be moved. Chapter 175, Chu Yingho and Luo Feng, Chu Capital, Marquise of Chu Yu's residence. That's the situation. Emperor Chu Yu sounded helpless. Of the royal 13 bloodlines, only 7 royal first-rank marquises have guest elder slots. I visited all of them, but couldn't get anywhere. Luo Feng listened and smiled in thanks. Luohe, thank you. I know some of the 13 bloodlines are at odds. My guest elder is Luohe Great Saint, Emperor Chu Yu said with a laugh. Even if some of them aren't friendly, they wouldn't dare be outright violent. But they didn't even use their guest elder slots for the last heaven-level task. These slots are very hard to secure. Luo Feng nodded. From the Emperor's accounts, the situation was indeed complicated. The royal first-rank marquises care most about their own cultivation paths, Emperor Chu Yu reflected. After this heaven-level task, the next major event may be thousands of epochs away. Luo He will soon become a god king and won't be able to take part in Chaos Realm competitions anymore. Their reluctance is understandable. It's hard for me to help them, Luo Feng agreed. In Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, over 99% of ordinary governance was handled by the royal first-rank marquises. Only truly major matters went to the god kings. God kings wouldn't dare to bully a royal first-rank marquis. Anyone who did would invite the emperor's intervention. The first-rank marquises were the royal family's core elites. Internal rivalries were tolerated. Attacking the weak was forbidden. Even if Luo Feng became an invincible god king first realm, how much could he really help a royal first-rank marquise? Besides the first-rank marquises choosing guest elders, are there other ways? Luo Feng asked. Our rules are that royal first-rank marquises select Chaos Realm guest elders, and royal god kings select god king guest elders. Emperor Chu Yu explained. The current emperor can, in exceptional cases, directly appoint some guest elders. The current emperor? Luo Feng shook his head. This matter didn't seem worth troubling his master, Di Chu. Origin Ancestor had only just become a Chaos Realm expert. It wasn't urgent. He could handle it once he himself became a god king. Finding a legacy wasn't only possible by being a guest elder, and even as a guest elder, one wasn't restricted to Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. No rush, Luo Feng thought, and stood. He would find another way. Chu Capital, Marquise of Chu Ying's residence. Because he had finished first in the last heaven-level task, the Marquise of Chu Ying had gained enormous resources and the personal praise of Di Qing. Favored by Di Qing, the most transcendent of the royal family's emperors, made even some god kings willing to associate with Chu Yinghao. Marquise, Luo He truly seeks a guest elder slot, a steward reported respectfully. Marquise Chu Yu recently visited many of the 13 bloodlines, but they all rejected his requests. A guest elder slot? The Marquise's eyes were clear and cold. For whom is he applying? I heard it's for a newly advanced Chaos Realm expert. Intelligence says the eternal true god Origin Ancestor in Luohi's cave residence just broke through, the steward said. The Marquise laughed softly. His old servant Luosa became a Chaos Realm expert long ago. Luohi never tried to secure a slot for him, but as soon as this Origin Ancestor broke through, he moved to arrange one. It seems Origin Ancestor means a great deal to Luohi. All right, you may go. The steward bowed and withdrew. The Marquise looked out at the horizon, smiling to himself. I've been in seclusion for so long, and as soon as I emerge, I hear this news. It seems Luo He and I are fated. Chu Yingho was already the most profoundly cultivated among the 7 first-rank marquises. With the rewards from ranking first in the heaven-level task, he had comprehended a branch of the great Tao within 100 epochs and had just emerged from seclusion. He considered his situation. His small universe hadn't yet transformed, his divine body had not completed its evolution, and officially he remained a royal first-rank Marcus. With his authority and some royal merits, he could apply for an additional guest elder slot. Within the royal family, first-rank marquises were treated differently. Those at chaotic realm transcendent level could even sometimes enter treasure lands left behind by origin ancestor. Since Marquise Chu Ying had long been favored by Di Qing, his authority had grown considerably. Once he himself broke through to God King, he would need to prepare for the future. An existence that could become an invincible God King first realm without outside help was rare on Origin Continent. Chu Yingho recognized Luo Feng's potential. After making up his mind, he left alone and soon arrived quietly at Luo He's cave residence. Standing outside the gate, he instructed the guards, "Go deliver a message. Tell them Di Chu Ying has come to visit Luo He Great Saint." The two gate guards were startled. A marquise visiting alone, without retinue? One hurried back to relay the message while the marquise waited. Luo Feng, curious, came to the entrance. Powerful people typically transmitted directly, but Marquise Chu Ying had chosen a formal approach with the guards. "Luo He Great Saint," the marquise greeted Luo Feng with a smile. "I have come about the guest elder slot." Luo Feng's eyes brightened. This could be a turning point. "Please come in," he said and led the marquis inside the reception pavilion. They sat while Luo Feng poured wine. "You have a way to secure a slot?" Chu Yinghao nodded slowly. "The first-rank marquises are always competing. Their allocations differ. I'm prominent among them, so I have some influence. I can arrange to apply for an additional guest elder slot." Luo Feng felt a rush of gratitude. A slot is hard to come by. "Whatever I must pay, name it." Though he had little interaction with Chu Yingho before, he respected the man. Among the 7 first-rank marquises of the emperor's line, Chu Yingho's bearing was unmatched, and the others deferred to him. In long competitions, he had consistently been ahead. Even with Luo Feng's intervention in the last task, Chu Yinghao still took first overall. "It's just a slot," the marquis said, smiling. "I came to your door today to befriend Luo He." Luo Feng knew from recent inquiries that even Chu Yinghao's special status would likely require some expenditure of merit to get another slot. The royal family's system exchanged extra resources for favor and merit. "Luo He, I won't forget this," he said. The marquis simply nodded. For powerful men, a promise could mean everything. Chu Yingho understood how brutal high-level struggles were on Origin Continent. The two great ancient kingdoms' royal families competed with each other. Ancient non-royal powers lurked, and a handful of dazzling God King Second Realm experts and foreign heavyweights all strove for Origin ancestors' leftovers. "I may be excellent among the first-rank marquises now," he thought, "but when I become a God King, I will need allies." "Is this for Origin ancestor?" he asked. Luo Feng nodded. "Yes, for him." "Have him come to my residence," the marquis said. "By the time he arrives, the slot should be approved." "All right," Luo Feng agreed. Origin ancestor had just broken through. His divine body was still growing, and he had been in seclusion to consolidate. Luo Feng summoned him. "Becoming a guest elder of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom grants you an immediate quota of 100,000 merit points. You can use that at the Legacy Hall to choose the legacy you most need, and then slowly accumulate more merit to exchange for other resources." Origin ancestor had spent long time in the capital and knew how precious a guest elder slot was. Many Chaos Realm experts lingered in Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, scheming for just such opportunities. "This slot isn't easy to get, is it?" Origin ancestor asked. "Go to Marquise Chu Ying's residence now," Luo Feng said. "When you arrive, he will receive you and handle everything." Origin ancestor nodded and left at once. Luo Feng watched him go, smiling. With Origin ancestor secured as a guest elder, one of humanity's pillars was strengthened. With the right legacies and resources, his future would be smoother. Chu Yinghao handled the matter properly. That same day, Origin ancestor became a Chaos Realm guest elder and went to the Legacy Hall to select his legacy. Word of it spread quickly. Some other Chaos Realm experts in the capital grumbled with indignation. After all their efforts, they couldn't secure a slot, yet a newly advanced Chaos Realm expert had just obtained one. But behind Origin Ancestor stood Luo He, Great Saint, and Marquise Chu Ying, so their complaints amounted to little. Not long after, Marquise Chu Ying himself broke through and became a God King, the fourth God King of the Emperor Chu lineage, which caused a stir. At the Marquise's God King feast, Luo Feng personally brought gifts to offer his congratulations. After the feast, with Chu Yingho now a God King, Luo Feng retreated into seclusion to focus entirely on cultivation. Time passed. The effects of the clear heart spirit liquid faded, leaving only a faint residue of the Hunyuan crystal spirit fruit's influence. Inside the Star Tower, Luo Feng sat cross-legged, studying some materials with pleasure. He concentrated on comprehending the extremely difficult 10 Directions world form. He had not demanded that he must master it within the Chaos Realm. Failure would still temper his understanding, but suddenly the complete 10 Directions world form crystallized in his mind. "I've comprehended it," Luo Feng murmured. Sometimes the best surprises came without warning. Chapter 176, Introduction to World Life. Luo Feng examined the 10 Directions world form materials before him. The corpse of the golden scale armor insect had been given by his master Di Chu. The other biological samples came from the world where he served as town defender. "The 10 Directions world form I comprehended is different from all of these," he said to himself, surprised. Because these materials originated from different creatures, there were naturally slight differences between them. So which material should I choose to construct this form? Luo Feng wondered. According to the World Life Form Legacy, merely comprehending the 10 Directions world form was only half the work. He still had to study the material origin Great Path and find a material compatible with that form. Only by combining the two could a truly powerful life form be created. Those who only cultivated the life origin Great Path, like the Snow Realm ancestor, could produce life forms comparable to the 10 Directions world form, but since theirs condensed from pure divine power, their material foundation was weaker. Luo Feng could imitate them with his formless and faceless ability. Let's try. He used the 10 Directions world form as the foundation and referenced materials from Hunyuan bloodline creatures to transform. Divine power surged and shifted. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless divine forces restructured themselves. He recalled that the previous form had a maximum of 108 trillion particles, but the 10 Directions world form effectively creates its own world. It has no practical upper limit. As long as his soul could control it and his will command it, the life form could expand without bound. Soon Luo Feng produced 7 avatars based on 7 different materials. With a quick perception, he determined the Silver Mountain Beast King's material offered the highest compatibility. In fact, these were 10 Directions world form beings naturally bred by the Hunyuan bloodline, so their material composition was nearly ideal. Change. Luo Feng kept transforming, his divine power continuously converting. The more he practiced, the more skillful he became, but it still took nearly half a day on the Origin continent to fully reform his divine body. With my divine body fully transformed, my soul and will can still control it, he thought, feeling relaxed inside the already vast Star Tower. The soul was like an army. The larger the soul, the more soldiers it could field. The will was the commander. A powerful commander could unleash an army's full strength. A weak one could render it ineffective. To control a mighty physical body, both soul and will were crucial. His small universe back in his distant hometown continuously transmitted divine power into the chaos space within him. There, that divine power was converting into 10 Directions world form energy, allowing him to keep growing. At this level, a body's size depends on its great path, Luo Feng reflected. God Kings prized the infinite divine body because it represented a firm foundation. The size of a small universe depended on its foundation. With Luo Feng's perfect divine body, his small universe was as large as the supreme rules allowed. An infinite divine body's small universe was still slightly smaller. The weaker the divine body, the smaller the small universe and the chaos space that would eventually evolve into a small universe, which in turn produced a smaller soul. The foundation determined the size of the small universe, the basis of the divine body and the soul. Cultivation could change those foundations. Specializing in the soul path could strengthen the soul, though that path was difficult. For the divine body, physical great paths were required, and the life origin great path was the most effective. For example, the Snow Realm ancestor incorporated the rivers and snowflakes of his entire territory into his body. Only after reaching such steps could one transcend a divine body's original foundation. As the convergence continued, an invisible force gathered in his chaos space. Luo Feng's chaos space, vast and resilient as a perfect divine body should be, began to naturally give rise to an inner world. An inner world was evolving. This is the world life form, he realized. In the 10 directions world form, each basic life unit contained a small world. The enormous physical body formed by countless such units, with its immense world power, needed a complete world to anchor itself. The chaos space within the body proved the most suitable place to form that inner world. When the inner small world stabilized, Luo Feng's true body finally left the Star Tower. He restrained his power and slipped quietly out of Chu Capital. He merged with the world, moving as if he were part of it, and in only a few breaths he reached Huyang City. A world life form travels incredibly fast, he said, surprised. He hadn't reached the level of those who could teleport with a single thought, but going from the border of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom to Huyang City in a handful of breaths was far faster than before. His small world naturally reflected the outside world, extending an immense range. 3 chaos states, Luo Feng confirmed. The reflected reach of his small world astonished him. Each chaos state was vast. Even a large city would be a mere dot within one. A second-rate kingdom typically had dozens of chaos states. A third-rate kingdom might hold around 10. That Luo Feng's reflection covered 3 chaos states showed how formidable it was. Within this reflected range, he could arrive with a thought and use world power to obliterate enemies. My current strength is only near invincible for the God King First Realm, and I already have access to such means. What about those in the God King Second Realm, or the God King Ultimate Realm? He thought. He understood why world beasts at the God King Ultimate Realm could unleash world-destroying cataclysms. He still believed he was only approaching invincibility in the God King First Realm. True God Kings at that level had far greater divine power reserves. If they cultivated world life forms, their scale would be even more massive. Meanwhile, he continued to absorb energy from his small universe at home, so his body kept growing. He expected he would soon match the normal level for an invincible God King First Realm. I need to familiarize myself with my body and discover its abilities, he decided, and his true body went straight to the Huyang City Town Defender Mansion. As a cultivator of the life origin great path, with numerous avatars, the true body and those avatars mattered less hierarchically. As long as a trace of power remained, he could regenerate. Treasures like the Star Tower, however, demanded more caution. He had heard many stories of God King Second Realm cultivators being ambushed by the 2 great ancient kingdoms. He wouldn't take out the Star Tower until he understood it fully. Though he could be called a hegemon, he kept a low profile around the 2 great ancient kingdoms. According to the World Life Form legacy, he was still only at the introductory level. Origin life forms outside the cage could have bodies comparable to a source world. Compared to them, he was almost microscopic. Still, he had taken the first step. Luo Feng went into seclusion to master his new abilities. Xiangji City. How long do you plan to stay in Polu City this time? Mo Yu Qingyan asked his wife Zhang Yunji. I don't know, she replied. You don't know? He was taken aback. Zhang Yunji explained, becoming a disciple of Polu God King is a great fortune. I must seize the chance to cultivate on Polu Mountain. The more time I spend there, the more often I can receive my master's guidance. If I stay in Xiangji City all the time, when will that happen? That wasn't my point, Mo Yu Qingyan said. I hold an important position here in Xiangji City. I can't be away for long. If you stay in Polu City a long time, won't we be apart? We're cultivators. A short separation is not unbearable, Zhang Yunge answered calmly. Why don't you leave a divine power avatar here? Mo Yu Qingyan suggested. Cultivation needs focus. You shouldn't be a distraction. Cultivation requires concentration and no distractions, Zhang Yunge said with a smile. When I feel it's time to come back, I will. Mo Yu Qingyan watched her, a bitter taste in his heart. Her parents had been close, and Zhang Yunjie came from a family with 3 children. Her older and younger brothers both had families. Mo Yu Qingyan had once intended to marry and have children himself, but Zhang Yunjie cared more for cultivation. Qingyan, I told you long ago that emotions can affect cultivation. Morosa appeared beside him with a smile. Look, Zhang Yunjie is decisive. She doesn't want children. She wants to focus on cultivation. Now she won't even leave a divine power avatar. She wants to seize this opportunity and cultivate wholeheartedly. Luo Feng, engrossed in his lifeform research, paid little attention to his disciple's personal affairs. Morosa, however, had been watching the relationship closely. Emotions affect cultivation? Mo Yu Qingyan shook his head. Why didn't my father or brothers have that trouble? Isn't that exactly what Zhang Yunjie is doing? Cutting off distractions, cultivating wholeheartedly, eliminating interference, Morosa said leisurely. How could emotions and cultivation be compatible? Mo Yu Qingyan still didn't quite believe it. Sometime later, Mo Yu Qingyan went to Polu City and ascended Polu Mountain himself. A disciple greeted him warmly. Divine Monarch Mo Yu, junior sister Zhang is sparring with her fellow disciples. He guided Mo Yu Qingyan up. There he found Zhang Yunjie practicing with 5 fellow disciples. She was weaker than they were, but they moderated their power to be considerate. Why are you here? Zhang Yunjie called with a smile when she saw him. You wouldn't return, so I had to come, Mo Yu Qingyan said. This place is where God Kings cultivate. The disciples are excellent. Sparring here benefits me much more than in Shangji City. You know that, Qingyan. Zhang Yunjie explained. Has Polu God King guided you, he asked. Not yet, she replied. Master's arrival depends on luck. Perhaps he'll appear in time. So when do you plan to return? He asked. Why rush me? Zhang Yunjie's expression hardened. This is Master's place. Becoming a God King's direct disciple is a rare opportunity. Why would you hinder that? I only wanted a clear answer. If you want to focus on cultivation and avoid emotional distractions, avoid me, then I don't want to be a distraction to you either. Mo Yu Qingyan looked at her. Tell me your decision. I will not give up cultivation, Zhang Yunjie said quietly. This is the greatest opportunity I've ever had. No one can stop me, Qingyan. You should know my choice. I thought so. I came for clarity. Mo Yu Qingyan turned and walked away. Then we part ways here. Zhang Yunjie watched him leave without calling him back. Cultivators meet and part as fate dictates. Before, Mo Yu Qingyan might have been the right path for her. Now she had become a direct disciple of a God King, and that path required her full dedication. Emotions could only hinder her, she thought, and returned to her fellow disciples. Master, Master. Morosa transmitted to Luo Feng. Luo Feng, still focused on lifeforms, answered, Morosa, what is it? Master, you don't even care about your disciple. Qingyan and Zhang Yunjie have completely broken up, Morosa said excitedly. Broken up? Luo Feng was surprised. As a master, he had indeed been remiss, having met Zhang Yunjie only a few times. I suspected something was wrong. Qingyan's mind was distracted because of her. I went to Polu Mountain and, sure enough, they broke up. Morosa said happily. Good, it's better this way. It's only a small test of emotions, Luo Feng replied with a smile, not worrying too much and returning to his cultivation. My own cultivation is at a critical juncture. You should worry more about Qingyan's matters. All right, I'll handle it. Morosa, who had no pressing cultivation to distract him, liked to keep an eye on Mo Yu Qingyan and promised to do so. Chapter 177, Becoming the God King, Part 1. Inside a quiet room in the city lord's mansion of Huyang City, Luo Feng sat cross-legged, clad in silver. The 10 Directions world form he had constructed was modeled on the Silver Mountain Beast King. Even his robes were condensed from power and as tough and indestructible as armor. He exhaled softly. With chaos space as the foundation, the inner world he opened grew steadily more powerful and stable. I've started awakening the world life form and am getting familiar with my own abilities, Luo Feng thought. Next, I need to comprehend the secret techniques that let me make full use of it. He looked at his palm, which held limitless power. Suddenly, the aura in his hand surged. Previously, when he copied the forms of Chaos Layer creatures, he couldn't burn power, but the power of this 10 Directions world form could be expended, allowing for much greater bursts of strength. Luo Feng watched as a small flare of power leaked from his palm. But when that power explodes out, it demands far more of the mind and will. The secret technique for burning power has to be mastered as well, he said to himself. Luo Feng had been fortunate. As a special inheritance, the world life form came with many accompanying secret techniques. The problem was that comprehending those techniques while still at the Chaos Realm level was extremely difficult. The capital of Shi country sprawled across a vast area, and at its center rose a magnificent royal palace, the palace of the heavenly Kun country lord. Inside a hall of that palace, a meeting was underway. Big Brother, Country Lord. The other four god kings of Shi country addressed him with varying degrees of familiarity. Wushang Old Ancestor, Daomo Ancestor, and the heavenly Kun country lord had shared life and death since the god king First Realm, fighting together and founding the country. Even after the heavenly Kun country lord advanced to the god king's Second Realm, they still called one another brothers. The other two, Flowing Jade Divine King and Skull Peak God King, had been invited later after the heavenly Kun country lord had already risen to the Second Realm. Heavenly Kun country lord sat at the head of the table. Even while seated, his aura pressed on the others like a physical weight. They all knew he had obtained a more profound Hunyuan bloodline from the Yanfeng ancient kingdom and had cultivated it, so his strength far exceeded that of a newly advanced God King's Second Realm. God King's Second Realm cultivators were all regional overlords who initially aimed to break through to the ultimate realm by themselves. But the Hunyuan bloodline path had become a well-trodden alternative. Though it carried hidden dangers, it offered a dramatic increase in strength. 6 emperors of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom had used the Hunyuan bloodline to advance. Counting one emperor consort's previous life, it was almost 7. All emperors of the Thunder ancient country followed the same path. The imperial dynasties of the 2 great ancient kingdoms had relied on bloodline cultivation, which proved how smooth and effective the path could be. Still, the Hunyuan route had a critical vulnerability. Many resources were tied to the cultivator's true body. If the true body died, those resources, years of investment, would be wasted. Rebuilding a new vessel and cultivating from scratch was far harder than if one had followed an independent path. We set an ambush with friends inside the treasure land Tiantie to destroy the Lord of Yu country's true body, Heavenly Kun country lord said. If his true body is destroyed, the Hunyuan bloodline and the resources he gathered at great cost would be lost. The Lord of Yu country escaped into the depths of Tianhe wounded, he continued. We pursued by every means, but he keeps going where the danger is greatest. So my friends and I decided to pressure him from outside. The others listened. How do you mean pressure from outside? Someone asked. The border between Shi country and Yu country will be pushed forward across the board into Yu country, Heavenly Kun country lord replied. Don't rush. Occupy the Chao states one by one. I want to see if the Lord of Yu country still has the patience to hide inside Tianhe. Excellent, Wushang Old Ancestor said with excitement. This Lord of Yu country can't create clones. He only has 2 choices. Stay in Tianhe and watch his country shrink under our invasion, or abandon his true body to cultivate a new one. Even if he cultivates a new body and his strength is reduced, he'll still be a God King Second Realm, Daomo Divine King added. But what if Yu country's God Kings try to stop us? Kill anyone who resists, Heavenly Kun country lord said coldly. This plan was decided by a few of us. We must drive the Lord of Yu country out of Tianhe. His Hunyuan bloodline gives him an advantage in exploring that treasure land. They all understood. For God King First Realms, entering common treasure lands like infinite space was already difficult. Rarer treasure lands were out of reach. Those lands were battlegrounds for Second Realms. First Realm rulers relied primarily on their own territories for stable resources. Vast lands produced rare treasures and steady tribute. But Heavenly Kun country lord set his sights on the resources inside Tianhe, especially useful for Hunyuan cultivators who favored water attributes. By the way, Daomo Divine King said, that Luo He Great Saint has a border city named Huyang. Shall we act against it? Heavenly Kun country lord smiled faintly. Luo He can keep his city. Our target is the Lord of Yu country. He got off easy, Wushang Old Ancestor murmured. Formulate the detailed invasion plan, Heavenly Kun Country Lord commanded. My only requirement is speed. I want to see if the Lord of Yu Country can endure it. All right. The four god kings bowed and began to discuss strategy. Outside Huyang City, Luo Feng had left the mansion and walked into the mountain forest, still wearing his silver robes. He looked at a plant with purple flowers and reached out to touch one. The flower swayed and its aura surged, quickly rising from an ordinary plant level to true god, then void true god, and even to eternal true god. Then, pop, the purple flower collapsed into ashes. I can't even imbue an eternal true god level life form, Luo Feng said, a touch of disappointment in his voice. There are ancient existences on Origin Continent who can imbue God King level life forms. The gap is enormous. He moved to a red fruit tree and tried again. Its aura climbed until it also reached eternal true god level, and then it too burst into ashes. He reached out to flowers, plants, even stubborn rocks, and each time their auras soared, only to end the same way. A distant beast that had been watching saw the plants ignite into aura and crumble, and fled in terror. What's wrong? Luo Feng stood in the forest, frowning. He thought through the 6 major branches of life, trying to find where the flaw lay in his combination. His mind dug deep into the profound mysteries. Suddenly, a complete branch of life crystallized in his mind. Huh? Luo Feng was stunned. It was the spirituality branch. He had always sensed that once he comprehended the 6 major branches of the life origin great path, the rest would fall into place. He had been following the guidance of the special inheritance, focusing less on deliberate comprehension and more on learning high-level secret techniques at a lower realm. Now, without intending to, the spirituality branch had appeared. As he carefully experienced it, 2 more branches naturally unfolded, the source of life and the body of life, branches he had been working on the longest. A flash of insight deepened his understanding of the 10 directions world form. Then the remaining 3 branches came into view: the blood branch, the vitality branch, and the life-death branch. The blood branch was famous. Many god kings of other paths coveted it because it aided Hunyuan bloodline cultivation. The vitality branch made vitality abundant. Even if a single divine power were annihilated, it could naturally recover, and destroying it completely became hundreds or thousands of times harder. The life-death branch connected to the concept of demise. Death as an element of life allowed for better renewal and rebirth. As one branch is completed, it draws in the others, Luo Feng realized. The 6 branches had coalesced through accumulation and mutual influence. He was delighted. Morosa had also comprehended all 6 branches at once, though in a slightly different sequence. He had managed it in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. Luo Feng reflected. His accumulation in the Destruction Origin Great Path was weaker by comparison. Partly because the Destruction Origin mysteries Morosa revealed weren't as complete as the Primordial Universe's Life Origin Great Path. Partly because Luo Feng had devoted most of his energy to mastering the 10 directions world form, the transformation method best suited to that path. He smiled, feeling the harmony of the 6 life branches converge with his world form. Since I've comprehended them, he said quietly, then it's time to become a God King. Chapter 178, Becoming the God King, Part 2. Inside Luo Feng's small universe, in the region of his hometown, a group had been gathered by teleportation. Xu Xin, Luo Ping, Luo Hai, and others, along with his father Luo Hongguo, his mother Gong Xinlan, his younger brother Luo Hua, and Shi Mo, the child Luo Feng had personally raised. Everyone present possessed undying life, so it was rare to see them all together in one place. Luo Feng, why did you call everyone? Xu Xin asked, surprised. Dad must have something important to say, Luo Hai added, looking to his father expectantly. Shimo, the silver-haired youth, stood respectfully to one side. He was the only true god of the Yuhai lineage cultivated by Luo Feng, and his reverence for his father god was boundless. It is important, Luo Feng said, fixing his gaze on the family he treasured most. I'm about to break through. My small universe will undergo another large-scale expansion. This will also be the last expansion of my small universe. You can step outside the universe and watch the whole process carefully. Luo Feng understood how small universes worked. At lower levels, each stage of a cultivator's transformation demanded a corresponding transformation of the small universe. If the small universe were destroyed, strength couldn't advance. Upon reaching the Chaos Realm, a powerful will could use the Reincarnation secret art to begin a new life. But once someone became a God King, future growth would no longer be constrained by their small universe. Even if the small universe were destroyed, a God King of sufficient realm could still ascend above God King Ultimate Realm, for that realm implied mastery of a complete origin great path. Beyond that, progress depended on one's own exploration of the unknown. Your small universe is already trillions of light years across. Does it need to get bigger? Luo Ping asked in disbelief. You'll see, Luo Feng answered with a laugh. Shimo, escort everyone outside. Yes, Father God, Shimo replied. He guided a flying boat's secret treasure and took them to a distant spot outside the small universe. From the flying boat, they watched the already massive universe. Luo Hongguo recalled that 5 years earlier, Luo Feng's small universe had grown from 100 billion to 1,000,000,000,000 light years. They all wondered how far it would expand now. Then, without warning, the small universe brightened. Limitless energy, as if pouring in from nowhere, rushed into Luo Feng's universe. Its diameter swelled fast, 1 trillion, 1.5, 2 trillion light years. As the size increased, the volume's growth rate slowed, because a larger space needed exponentially more energy, even though the incoming energy did not weaken. The speed of expansion stunned everyone aboard the flying boat. Why is it expanding so fast this time? Xu Xin, Luo Hai, and the others whispered, shocked. The influx was so rapid that by the time the small universe reached 3 trillion light years in diameter, other cultivators in the surrounding regions had already come. True gods, chaos masters of the human race, and powerhouses from other races. They watched, aghast. From their viewpoint, the gap between a small universe and the primordial universe was shrinking. The primordial universe's diameter was 10 trillion light years, the cradle of countless races and a unique presence in everyone's mind. This, the primordial chaos city lord muttered. Most true gods only had small universes a few 100 million light years across. Luo Feng's universe was already beyond comprehension. Origin Ancestor's divine power avatar observed alone and was equally stunned. He had become a Chaos Realm expert on Origin Continent and knew the rules well. He had expected Luo Feng's small universe to be large, but never to reach a scale the entire Origin Continent had never seen. Inherent flaws in a life form's foundation usually prevented a God King's small universe from ever matching that size. Only a perfect foundation could produce a perfect God King level small universe. Luo Feng's foundation is extremely profound, Origin Ancestor thought. He will be a defining figure on Origin Continent and may shape the fate of countless beings. Under everyone's attention, the expansion continued. In the span of 3 months of Earth time, with a dazzling surge of energy, Luo Feng's small universe grew until it reached its limit. 10 trillion light years in diameter, the same scale as a primordial universe. The revelation left every race and cultivator speechless. When the universe reached that limit, the mysterious energy that had been pouring in connected with Luo Feng's consciousness. The instant his mind linked, he understood vast amounts of information. This infusion of limitless energy was both the first and the last. His small universe had reached the maximum allowed by the source world. From now on, it would, like a primordial universe, have an upper limit to the energy it could contain. That limitation explained why so much of the primordial universe was dark void. Energy was finite. As beings multiplied and cultivated, their demands could exceed the universe's capacity. The void regions expanded, resource strain increased, and eventually a universe might collapse and be reborn. As master of his domain, Luo Feng now realized he could regulate the races within his small universe and control their scale, either to maintain the world and even preserve it indefinitely with a steward, or, if masterless, to watch it undergo great destruction and restart. He also sensed a broader truth. The small universe was a gift from the supreme rule to cultivators, a tool to help them understand cosmic operation, to absorb energy far faster for nurturing massive divine bodies. The presence of small universes explained why divine bodies on their source world tended to be much larger than those in other source worlds. With just a divine body, recovery after destruction would be agonizingly slow. With a small universe, restoration could happen within one epoch. Luo Feng's consciousness probed further into the mysterious place that had established the connection. There he perceived 9 vast origin great paths: time, space, life, destruction, limitless, matter, extremity, world, and karma. Each great path had countless aspects and facets. Different vantage points revealed different details. He focused most clearly on the life and destruction origin great paths, since they were his areas of deepest familiarity. The destruction path appeared diverse and terrifying. At first glance, a monstrous dark red maw that seemed ready to devour all. On another level, it took the majestic, sacred form of a world beast. In yet another, it resembled an enormous black eye that made his heart shudder. Because Luo Feng had already comprehended the 6 branches of destruction to the point of bottlenecks, he could perceive many aspects of the complete destruction great path, which significantly deepened his understanding. A sudden intuition rose within him. If he concentrated on the 6 branches of destruction, it would not be long before he fully grasped the whole path. Even so, he reminded himself that there was no need to rush. Now that he had become a god king, steady, solid cultivation was essential. The supreme rule had given him its final blessing. From this point forward, he would have to rely on his own effort. He could still feel the supreme rule's instinctive expectation that this outstanding child would grow strong enough to someday protect it in return. Luo Feng widened his perception and saw more. He saw the entire origin continent and the universe sea that surrounded it, billions of times larger, but far thinner in energy. On the deep fringes of that sea, 3,000 primordial universes floated in different spatial temporal layers. He also saw the primordial universe of his hometown. Beside it, in comparable size and proximity, floated his small universe. Pushing outward further, his consciousness glimpsed the whole source world, a supergiant egg whose core was origin continent and whose shell was the limitless universe sea. The 3,000 primordial universes were tiny specks in that vastness. Beyond the source world lay a dark void he could no longer perceive clearly. Almost immediately, his mind was expelled from the mysterious place. The mind melding had ended. The supreme rule had granted him a one-time opportunity to connect, and now it was over. Chapter 179, Unbelievable Divine Body Origin Continent, Huyang City, inside the quiet room of the city lord's mansion. Luo Feng's consciousness had fully returned to his physical form. The old chaos space within him had long ago transformed into a vaster, more resilient inner realm. God kings commonly open a universe inside their inner space because the laws that run that universe are the great paths they themselves comprehend. This is a form of cultivation. Rumble, like a roaring celestial river, boundless, turbulent energy poured from that mysterious place and became divine power, flooding Luo Feng's inner space, which had already become a limitless ocean. The mysterious source kept feeding it. In only 3 months of Earth time, the small universe in his homeland had grown to the size of a primordial universe. That showed how ferocious the energy infusion had been, and it was still being supplied now to form Luo Feng's divine body. Divine body, transform. Luo Feng guided it deliberately, and the river of divine power coagulated into a new divine body. He knew this transformation would make his divine body enormous. Its aura would be difficult to conceal. With a thought, he summoned a clone in Chu Capital who had taken the Star Tower and had the tower quietly leave Chu Capital. In a few breaths, the Star Tower arrived in Huyang City. Inside the quiet room, a Star Tower stood, and Luo Feng stepped into it. Boom. In one of the Star Tower's inner spaces, Luo Feng stopped holding back and condensed his divine body at maximum speed. The boundless ocean of divine power in his inner realm visibly sank. Soon it dried up. The mysterious place continued to transform and send energy, but Luo Feng poured every drop into his divine body. 100,000 billion kilometers, 110,000 billion kilometers, he felt his divine body expand. In only 3 days of origin continent time, Luo Feng's perfect divine body reached its limit. The arbitrary torrent of energy from the mysterious place ceased. The supreme rule's grace had been given, and such a flood was a one-time opportunity upon becoming a god king. He felt himself. A vast, majestic divine body sat cross-legged within the Star Tower's space. The tower's inner chamber could still expand enough to contain his fully displayed form. In Origin Continent's environment, Luo Feng's divine body measured 1.8 million billion kilometers tall, already taller than the distance between heaven and earth there. On Origin Continent, the distance between heaven and earth varies by region, some basins, some highlands, but it's generally around 1 million billion kilometers. Even a Chaos Realm cultivator with an infinite divine body rarely manages to reach that height. God Kings, however, are different. God Kings with infinite divine bodies usually have heights around 360,000 billion kilometers. To appear as tall as heaven and earth is normal for ancient God Kings. My normal divine body couldn't even stand upright here, Luo Feng thought. Even sitting, my head would nearly touch the starry sky. The Star Tower's space was incredible. A single layer of its inner chamber expanded taller than his body and still felt roomy. He had long realized the Star Tower was extraordinary, but he still couldn't fully fathom it. This perfect God King divine body was the final physical form for now. From this point, any further strengthening of body or soul would depend on his own cultivation. Luo Feng felt the depth of his foundation, his divine body base, his reserves of divine power, all far beyond ordinary God Kings. The quality of his divine power was also higher. After ascending to God King, the primordial universe-like small universe and the perfect divine body had made his soul immensely strong. God Kings who do not cultivate the soul great path usually have to rely on their body to nourish the soul or seek rare treasures. Both options are inefficient. Many Chaos Realm cultivators who grasp a branch of a great path choose to reincarnate, cultivate an infinite divine body, then become a God King because foundation matters. World life form, transform. Luo Feng began transforming his perfect divine body into a world life form. The perfect divine body is composed of divine power and, while powerful, is inferior in pure combat to a world life form. The world life form is a special grade legacy. Upon entry, it makes one invincible at the God King First Realm, and its upper limit is staggeringly high. Having gone through this once, Luo Feng was faster now. Divine power streamed and restructured. He sensed a difference. His soul had grown tremendously with the God King breakthrough. The soul is like an army, 10,000 soldiers versus 1,000,000. Though the general is the same, the army's combat power differs vastly. A vaster soul can command a vaster body. For 5 full days, the transformation continued. 2 majestic forms sat cross-legged in the Star Tower. One black-robed perfect divine body, one silver-robed world life form. The shift had consumed half of the perfect divine body's divine power reserves, and Luo Feng was near the mental limit of his will. The silver-robed form rose. As it stood, space itself trembled. A powerful soul foundation and ultimate realm were barely enough to control such a dreadful body. The strain on his mind exceeded 90%. Although the perfect divine body and the world life form had comparable energy reserves, their power differed greatly. Keeping his will taxed beyond 90% was exhausting. Luo Feng decided to let the world life form sleep. The silver-robed form sat back down and fell into a deep slumber, breathing, still stirring storms, but with weak consciousness fluctuations. In that sleeping state, the mental burden fell drastically. When he was active, he would use weaker clones. With a ripple of will, 3 silver lights flew forth from the sleeping world life form, and each condensed into a clone, each carrying roughly 1,000th of the world life form's reserves. Even so, each clone was far stronger than the world life form he had managed to form in the Chaos Realm. From Chaos Realm to God King, his divine body height increased 100-fold, and the quality of divine power improved 100-fold. From an energy perspective, that was hundreds of millions of times stronger. A single clone now could be considered invincible at the God King First Realm and could skillfully perform many techniques. If I go all out, I should be a level above a normal invincible God King First Realm cultivator, Luo Feng judged. The term Invincible God King First Realm covers those whose comprehensive offense, defense, and self-preservation reach God King Second Realm levels. Different Invincible First Realm cultivators have different specialties. For example, Jia Yin God King cultivates both the Limitless and Karma Great paths. Her direct combat is weaker than Luo Feng at the moment, but her luck-seeking and disaster-avoiding abilities are superior. There are rare records, such as in Treasureland's Legacy Infinite Space. that suggest cross-realm victories are theoretically possible. First realm over second, second over ultimate, but that's theoretical and extremely difficult. Luo Feng had other goals. According to the World Lifeform records, a theoretically perfect physical body at God King First Realm could reach the 24-phase form. That would be a long-term objective, but for now, his core focus was the Destruction Origin Great Path. The 24-phase form involves comprehending 24 phases of life origin, each phase blending 6 branches, far more complex than the 10 directions world form. The difficulty was unimaginable and could be put aside for later. He needed to make better use of his internal space. After the chaos space evolved, his inner domain had become thicker and vaster. Other god kings opened internal universes. Luo Feng felt he was better suited to opening his into a source world, at least an embryonic source world. The world lifeform legacy required opening an inner world, and the ultimate goal was a source world. Moreover, Luo Feng's mind had merged with the supreme rule, and he had observed the panorama of the origin continent's source world. Open. The small universe in his hometown had been condensing divine power and transmitting it. It had its upper limit, but the energy his world could use was not restricted by the supreme rule. If he could use it, he could take it. Within his inner space, energy converged into the core and began forming a small landmass, a miniature but faithful copy of Origin Continent. 99% of the energy was gathered there. Beyond that lay a vaster void region in which 3,000 miniature universes were nurtured. The world lifeform's original world power integrated into this inner world, letting it evolve naturally. The miniature Origin Continent deepened. Flowers, plants, and trees began to grow. The positions of the 3,000 universes adjusted, and life awakened within them. The operating rules of this inner miniature source world were precisely the 6 major branches of life that Luo Feng had comprehended. Vitality proliferated. This is just the beginning, he smiled. After the inner world stabilized, the range of Luo Feng's projection, how far the inner world's influence and reflection reached, expanded dramatically. In the past, his inner world projected out across roughly 3 chaos states. Now, because his physical body and inner foundation had strengthened, his projection range leaped to 16 chaos states. Such an increase was extraordinary. Within those 16 chaos states, down to a speck of dust, was under Luo Feng's observation. All exotic beasts, all 12 Chaos Realm cultivators within that area, none of them knew they were being watched. I am the world, he thought. Everything is revealed. Standing silver-robed above Huyang City, he carried the internal world's operating laws with him. Around him, the supreme rule temporarily receded. All manner of energies, layers of spacetime, and karmic entanglements came under his gaze. He felt himself drawing closer to the heavenly Kun country lord. Po Lu Mountain, inside Zhang Yunge's cave mansion. Yunjie, is something wrong between you and Qingyan? Zhang Yunjie's father sent a message, anxious. What's happened? She asked, puzzled. Qingyan reclaimed the usage rights of Purple Cloud Palace in Shangji City, Zhang's father replied urgently. Our merchant guild was forced out. Business is collapsing. Everyone in Shangji City says you and Qingyan had a falling out. Qingyan hasn't denied it, and now our trade has suffered. Zhang Yunjie had been handling some of the family's merchant guild affairs when she met Mo Yu Qingyan. He reclaimed Purple Cloud Palace? She fell silent. What exactly happened between the two of you? Her father pressed. We broke up a long time ago, Zhang Yunjie said without hiding it. How could you break up? Her father blurted, shocked and angry. Since she had been with Mo Yu Qingyan, his own status in the family and the family's merchant fortunes had risen. As cultivators, we come together when we want to and separate when we want to. Do I have to report my feelings to you, father? Zhang Yunjie said. Besides, I want to focus on cultivation here on Po Lu Mountain. You. Her father sputtered, but he could do nothing. Since his daughter had reached the eternal true God level, she had become hard to control. Very well. You must seize this opportunity on Po Lu Mountain and cultivate well, he said at last. I understand, Zhang Yunjie replied, and then cut off the communication. Chapter 180. Meet the Master, Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, Chu Capital, Emperor Chu Palace. In the great ancient hall, Di Chu slowly opened his eyes and murmured, a complete origin great path, To truly comprehend it is unbearably difficult. No wonder the Tao comprehension lineage holds the highest prestige. He withdrew from cultivation and surveyed the surrounding rules and operations laid bare before him. One strand of karma among the many wrapped around him had changed. It was the karmic thread connecting him to his direct disciple, Luo Feng. In Origin Continent, the master-disciple bond carried weight comparable to blood, so their karmic entanglement was deep and obvious. Dichu smiled. Luo Feng has broken through? Through karma, he sensed the change. Luo Feng had grown much stronger. In karmic terms, he now radiated power comparable to a god king's second realm. Dichu was pleased. He sent his voice along the karmic link. Luo Feng, come see me. Yes, master, Luo Feng replied. Before his breakthrough, Luo Feng had been unable to transmit messages through karma, but becoming a god king had strengthened the laws governing his existence and deepened his control over karma. He arrived at the Emperor Chu Palace soon after and bowed respectfully on entering the hall. This visitor was a clone, a projection holding 1,000th of a world lifeform's energy reserve. Even using only a clone like this, his strength could be considered an invincible god king first realm. My gap with master is still vast, Luo Feng thought as he observed. His perception was clearer now. Dichu embodied the complete destruction origin great path, an immovable, world-sized power. Each of his movements carried the force of limitlessly destructive laws. Luo Feng felt that even this powerful clone would be utterly annihilated in 2 or 3 strikes if his master attacked at full strength. Dichu's eyes glowed faintly as he examined Luo Feng from many angles. Good, he said. Luo Feng, I didn't expect that right after becoming a god king you would have cultivated both the life and destruction great paths so deeply. Their combination is ingenious. Your body is extraordinarily powerful. Master overpraises me, Luo Feng replied, slightly embarrassed. In truth, he had not cultivated any material origin path. His simultaneous cultivation had been life and destruction. Dichu waved away his modesty. Those who reach an invincible god-king first realm without outside aid are rare on the Origin continent. You managed it immediately after becoming a god-king. No praise is too much. Luo Feng asked what he should be aware of when facing future powerful enemies. Dichu studied his disciple and answered, Your body is exceptionally resilient, a profound embodiment of material sturdiness and the life origin. I feel, even if I used my full might to strike you down, your body could recover from nothingness. Your vitality is extremely tenacious. I would likely need several consecutive cage membrane-breaking moves to truly annihilate you. Below the Emperor Consort level, I doubt anyone could permanently destroy that body. Luo Feng understood. Both life and material-like attributes made one difficult to annihilate, and together they were even more resistant. But a world life form also placed a heavy burden on the mind, limiting the complexity of techniques. Luo Feng could only perform very intricate methods when operating a clone with a 1,000th reserve. Dichu smiled. I know you're skilled with clone techniques. At your level, even emperor consorts and monarchs would have to use their true bodies to instantly destroy a clone. Your other clones would have time to enact reincarnation techniques. Luo Feng, however, knew his life-preserving ability was greater than his master imagined. A world lifeform's true body had 1,000 times the clone's energy. Even for an emperor consort or a monarch, destroying it would take some time. Look at the whole Origin continent, Dichu continued, and only 4 beings could truly kill you. Which 4? Luo Feng asked. The 2 great ancestors, the East Extremity Domain ancestor and Di Qing, Dichu said. They have all surpassed the God King ultimate realm. Luo Feng's heart tightened. Dichu had not often spoken plainly of the topmost powers of the Origin continent. Now he did. Having reached your current realm, you should be aware of the truly terrifying existences out there, Dichu said. These 4 are all transcendent. Do not provoke them now. He smiled, then added, One day, when you can face them, the gap may not be so large. You must have confidence. Who knows? Perhaps one day you may surpass even the 2 great ancestors. Yes, Luo Feng said. Dichu cautioned him to avoid emperor consorts and monarchs when possible, especially those who cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline. The Hunyuan bloodline carries contamination that twists dispositions. Their tempers are often bad. Luo Feng nodded. He had seen monarch-level powerhouses in Thunder Ancient Country nearly out of control before. Even emperor consorts and monarchs who weren't deranged could be severe and volatile. The path of cultivation is difficult, Dichu said. When you reach the God King's second realm, you will see this more clearly. Comprehending a single basic law is straightforward. Fusing 10 basic laws into a unified chaos law is infinitely harder. Likewise, learning a few great path branches is one thing. Perfectly integrating them into a complete great path is extremely difficult. Even I cannot do it, Dichu admitted. Most emperor consorts and monarchs are ultimate realm life forms in name, but almost all of them rely on external aids. In this reincarnation era of the origin continent, only Di Qing and the Lord of Myriad Worlds have truly comprehended a complete origin great path. Luo Feng understood. The two great ancestors and the East Extremity Domain ancestor who had surpassed the God King ultimate realm were figures from previous eras. Di Qing's achievement in this era explained his transcendent status among the 13 emperor consorts. Dichu then explained the 3 paths to elevating one's life essence to the God King ultimate realm. The first path is to comprehend a complete origin great path. It's the hardest. Di Qing and the Lord of Myriad Worlds followed this route. The second path is like mine. With the aid of powerful inheritances, one can, at the peak of the God King's second realm, comprehend an ultimate realm life form secret art and use precious primordial resources to transform one's life to ultimate realm status. After that transformation, every action carries limitless power. The third is the Hunyuan bloodline, excavating its potential until one's life form reaches the ultimate realm. This is comparatively the easiest, and its ceiling is high, but it carries grave hidden dangers. Luo Feng noted the difficulty of Dichu's path. It required access to an ultimate realm-level secret art and abundant rare materials to cultivate it successfully. Dichu added with a laugh, in terms of pure essence, emperor consorts and monarchs are somewhat inferior to those who comprehended a complete great path. Their secret arts are less refined, but we have powerful weapons and ancestral treasures. With those, we can match the Lord of Myriad Worlds and that world beast. Luo Feng absorbed the implication. The 13 emperor consorts of the Yanfeng imperial clan were each formidable, and together with unique specializations, they were terrifying. There were Di, the emperor consort, and Di Qing, each dazzling in their own right. Behind the imperial clan stood the Yanfeng ancestor, who rarely involved himself in the continent's power struggles. No wonder the 2 great ancient kingdoms dominated resources. Their strength was overwhelming. Even Lord of Myriad Worlds and Tianmu Country Realm Beast had to curry favor with the great houses. East Extremity Domain had little choice but to cede territory. The monarchs of Thunder Ancient Country are dangerous too, Dichu went on. Thunder Ancestor pursued the Hunyuan path himself, so all Thunder monarchs cultivate the Hunyuan bloodline. Their unleashed power can be even more troublesome than the Yanfeng Emperor consorts who practice Hunyuan. Outside the imperial clans of the 2 great ancient kingdoms are the unaligned God Kings, Dichu said, looking at Luo Feng. Other life forms make up the majority of the origin continent's population, and they produce far more God King Second Realm cultivators than our imperial clan does. Among them are some astonishing talents. Some may even outstrip me. They cultivate multiple great paths and special inheritances. Even without ultimate realm life essence, their secret arts let them match us. These unaligned God King Second Realm cultivators compete for resources just like the imperial clans, Dichu continued. So conflicts and enmities are inevitable. There are also alien races stirring up trouble in secret. Luo Feng, as your strength grows, be cautious. Don't be used without realizing it. Dichu extended his hand and a stream of light swept to Luo Feng. As the light touched him, a flood of intelligence poured in. Details on hidden alien races, descriptions of terrifying existences across the origin continent, records of treasure grounds, remnants of opportunities left by Yuan, and dossiers on numerous fearsome powerhouses, some meticulously documented, some imprisoned, some deranged. Only the 4 beings beyond the God King Ultimate Realm, the 2 great ancestors, East Extremity Domain Ancestor and Di Qing, received only sparse notes. Each piece of information would normally cost a fortune to acquire. Di Chu gave it all to Luo Feng. Thank you, Master, Luo Feng said. I am your master, Dichu replied. One more thing. Some god kings cultivate the karma origin Grandao. They have deeper control over karma and can perceive that your life has transformed. News of you becoming a god king will spread quickly through those karmic networks. Be prepared. Understood, Luo Feng answered. Fanchi wishes everyone a happy National Day. And I also wish our great motherland increasing prosperity and strength.